All right, so thank you, Brian. Hello, everyone. This is the November meeting of the Manhattan Community Board 2 Outdoor Dining Working Group for November. My name is Valerie De La Rosa. I'm the chair of Manhattan CB2's Outdoor Dining Working Group. On the committee online, we have Stella Fitzgerald. We have in the room, Shirley Secunda, who's our Traffic and Transportation Chair. Brian Pape, who's our Assistant Secretary of the entire board and also sits on numerous committees, including landmarks, street activities and resiliency, and this one, SLA. And on SLA. And then we have our SLA chair, Donna Raftery here, former SLA chair, Carter Booth, and former board chair, Carter Booth. So with that, we have 5 items on the agenda. And let me just advance the slides. So I don't know why those got so big right there. So we have 5 applications across 4 applicants this evening. We're going to start with Sidewalk Cafe applications and go to Roadway Cafe applications. So I will call the meeting to order at 6:41. Really, it was kind of 6:38. I'm just kind of saying it now, so I'll put it at 6:38. And then can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I so move.
Great. So, fine. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. Let me just quickly go through how this is going to work. We're going to call up each application. The committee is going to discuss the application and then ask the applicant if there's any items that we need cleared up. Then we will go to the public for testimony. I don't know if we have a sign up for public testimony here in the room, but we do have a sign-in sheet. So I don't know if anyone has signed up to testify here in the room. Online, I only had one person signed up to testify. There is a sheet to sign up. I can put it in the Zoom chat, or if you're here in the room, I'll just call on you. After that, we will go into our business session after we've heard all of the applications, and then we will go into new business where we're going to discuss briefly 3 applications that were referred to us today. This is how the public hearing will go. So we'll have a public hearing for each application separately. As I mentioned, we'll separately, we're going to go through the application. We're going to ask clarifying questions. Then we'll open up the floor for public testimony, speakers in the room, speakers on Zoom. And then we also are accepting written testimony using our CB2 Dining Out NYC feedback form, which we'll link to in the chat. You'll have 2 minutes to speak. There will be no back and forth. So the applicant is speaking to the committee. The public is speaking to the committee. There is no back and forth between the applicant and the public. The applicant can so choose to respond to any or none of the comments made either by the committee or by the public. That is up to them. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. So we have Upright Holdings, LLC, DBA Leitao, and I think we have someone here from, great, hi. And so I just put everything in here. So we have a sidewalk application for this one. And I think right off the bat, I'm just gonna pull up my notes on this one. The primary building entrance, and I can go to Stella has a photograph of this, and I see there's something in the chat, and I'm not really looking at the chat, so let me just see. Okay, great, thanks, Carter. Just put some links in there, the sign up for the speaker form, written testimony, as well as the agenda, which has links to all of the applications that we're going over right now. So let me quickly go to, where can I go back to the drive? So I guess really quickly while we have the site plan up, I know that one of the items, and I've lost the rest of the Zoom folks here. I'm not really, there we go. Let me share that screen again. All sidewalk, is that, I guess we don't, I said, we don't share the same computer, like you can't pull something up separately. I just need to go back to the drive.
Okay.
Oh, right here. Never mind. I got it. I got it. Thank you. Okay, so let me go. Here. So one of the items that came up for the committee, and let me share this screen. I just assume everything that everyone sees on here, they can see, but they cannot. So one of the items that came up was, it was not on the site plan. I'm gonna have to kind of toggle between these here. Let's see if I can do that. Let me move that down. Is that there is a primary building entrance here that is on the south side of the establishment. That's not marked, that is marked on the site plan, but there is no there's nothing here that says that there's there is not 5 feet, which is required. So based on that, the committee believes that the seating is actually cannot happen on this side. Stella, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
There's not much space to have, or not really any space at all to have a table and a chair and another chair in the leftover space.
And you're saying right here, can you see my mouse if I toggle
I
it?
can see your mouse, yeah.
Okay, so right here is the primary building entrance, is one not demarcated here as being the required 5 feet, which we measured here, actually extends all the way there. So that makes any sort of seating in this area a non-negotiable. It doesn't work. I'm not sure why DOT sent that plan through. As everyone knows, that part of this process during the community board review and comment period for these applications, that applicants regularly do make modifications based on the measurements that are inaccurately presented to the board. So, okay, so, and there was a box that you said could fit on here, Stella, is that correct?
Yeah. So looking at the tree bed to the north.
Mm-hmm. This one?
So, you're right. So right now, the applicant is proposing 4.5 feet, or I can't see, maybe it's 4 feet 5 inches from the storefront for the width of the sidewalk cafe, and then an additional 10 feet clearance, which is the required clearance to the tree bed.
Mm-hmm.
When I measured the distance from the storefront to the tree bed, I got 14 feet, which means that the sidewalk cafe cannot extend more than 4 feet out from the storefront.
Okay.
Still maintain the 10 feet.
Okay. So you're saying it needs to be the 4 foot width.
Right.
On south side. Okay. And anything else you want to point out about this application? It's inaccurate measurement. Does anyone else have anything else they want to bring up on this application?
I just have a question. The width of the tables and chairs is said to be decided. So I just wondered if that had been decided.
So we received this on last week. So the idea is that it has not been decided, but we will call up the applicant in just a second to speak on that. So the items that I have on this one is that the primary building entrance on the south side renders any sort of seating on the south side of the establishment's door to be moot. The primary building entrance measurement was not included on the site plan. There's an inaccurate measurement from the property line to the tree bed. It's actually, you said it's actually 14 feet, not 14.5 feet. So that means there's only room for a 4 foot wide sidewalk cafe. Is there anything with the length there, Stella, that we need to call out on this one?
All right, anything with the link?
The length of the,
Oh, the length?
yeah, on that side?
When I measured, I mistakenly didn't measure to the very edge of the storefront. If you want to pull up the picture of the box.
Mhm.
Yeah, that one. So really, I should have measured to,
Here.
right, so it
Okay.
would be a little bit longer.
Okay.
We can go back and measure that to get that exact length.
Okay, so not knowing the table length, it looks like maybe 1 2-top could fit there? Does anybody else want to opine on that?
Well, it's whatever fits in.
I was wondering if there is anything in the rules about the junction box or that electrical utility.
That on the bottom, if you look, that's marked NYC DEP, looks like, so that's some sort of a city. One right there.
You know, so do we have a rule about clearing that sort of thing?
I don't see anything on their sheet for that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
So that little black circle there is probably the Con Ed reader. Left of that box, and I don't know what the NYC is.
And then this is the electrical for the building up above.
Yeah, but that's
That doesn't matter.
not shown on that.
Okay, so it goes a little further than the 4 feet 9 inches, and on their plan, it says, I just can't see.
Their plan says 5 feet.
5 feet, okay, so it probably is a 5 feet then, okay. Okay, so we would be looking for an adjustment on the,
Actually, it says 6. 6 on
here
the
says 6.
application, right? Oh,
6 feet on, oh yeah, it does say 6 feet on there. What does it say on the plan?
On the plan, it says 5 feet.
Okay, so a discrepancy we can get, a discrepancy that we just need to get, figured out. Plan here. Yeah, it says 5 feet on here, and I see what you're saying about it saying 6 feet on the
application.
on the questionnaire.
Questionnaire,
Yeah.
right, that.
Yeah, it's okay, it's okay. I know, it's a lot of forms. Okay, so, but it still has the 14.5 feet length, which is, oh, it's measuring the full 14.5, right. So I think even if there's only this one sidewalk area, the service aisle would still serve as the doorway. Is that?
Right, and a couple
Okay.
comments. I just
Sure.
want to go back to the previously approved sidewalk cafe under the old program. This is a significant change. It's a reduction of 4 tables and 8 seats from what was previously allowed.
Uh-huh,
And so the remaining area where Stella identified that tables and chairs can go is where they had two tops it's actually 1 4-top, but because the tables and chairs would have to be pushed together, they wouldn't,
this right up here?
right, no, the seating plan, you gotta go up to the top.
Oh, yeah.
No, yeah, so that's where all the seating is.
Uh-huh.
So the 3 left tables would have to be removed because of the clearance from the doorway.
Uh-huh,
And then the bottom right on the form, the bottom right one, no, the other side, the right side, that would also need to be removed because of the new clearance requirements from the tree bed.
right,
So, and as you can see, the two tops did fit in that same space that Stella had indicated. While tight, that is a 4 foot
Hmm.
by whatever the allowable width is.
Oh, that's with a 24 by 24.
Right, and you can see
Right.
it's the measurement here that's indicated as 5 feet 4 inches. And these are, obviously architectural plans that are stamped. That's,
Oh, so it probably is 5 feet 4 inches
well,
then.
that's what the architect had indicated on the previous
Mm,
plans.
and nothing's really changed that would change that,
Well, I don't think the building width has changed, right?
right?
So,
It didn't grow. I'm sure buildings do expand in their own foundational
Which,
ways.
yeah, and this is a good illustration of the new rules, you know, and some of the importance of the new clear path requirements and the other plan, what I'm forgetting what it's called, but the whole new sidewalk.
Dining out,
No,
use your words.
This defines the width.
Pedestrian
The
mobility.
pedestrian mobility plan, so that's an example of just opening up the sidewalks and the new clearances, but you can see the difference here, but these are all the measurements from the previous sidewalk cafe, so that's what the changes have brought.
So 10 feet, 9, 6, 9, 14. 14 feet, 10 inches. So it's like actually a little bit more. It's more, no? 14 and a half, 14, 10.
That's the dimension.
It's 14 feet,
Across from-
14.5 feet is 14 feet, 6
Storefront.
inches. Oh, right. You're right. This is, right. And they're saying that it's 14.5 across the storefront on here. So it's actually 14 feet, 10 inches versus 14 feet, 6 inches.
Including the door frame.
Thank you. I guess we will call on everyone in just a second, please.
And then the other changes also, if you move down a little bit,
Uh-huh.
you know, the other, yeah, so some of the changes, whereas if you notice is that the tree pit measurements are now from the corner of the actual tree pit, they are no longer from the tree.
From here, they're from
So
here.
that's that circle's an 8-foot radius, so if you actually go from the edge of the tree pit, you get a very different measurement, and that's why.
Right, it goes up in here.
That's why the removal of the table in the bottom right, which would be on the north, was it the northeast table, has to be removed because the clearance is from the corner of the tree bed.
And was there not a primary building entrance 5-foot requirement before?
No.
Okay.
So, and
That's
so
what that is.
one of the big differences also that it's from the edge of the tree bed, not the tree itself. The global or the clearance is 10 feet on this particular avenue.
Right, 10 foot.
So you have those are the different requirements, just explaining for everybody, because this is a good before and after of a previously licensed sidewalk cafe with the new rules.
Well, and the guidance we've been told on the tree beds is that if it's parallel, if any part of the sidewalk cafe is parallel to the tree bed, then that is the 10-foot clear path.
Right, so the
Versus
tree on
8.
right, so the tree on the right foot from the corner on wherever the tree bed is, which is not indicated here, that diagonal is only required to be 8 feet because the tree bed is not in front of
Right,
of the sidewalk cafe.
right. Okay, so they're proposing two tops in that space. There is no third layer in the plan that they've presented.
So that would be 4, 6, right?
Yep, so the primary missing measurement on that diagram is the clearance from the primary building entrance.
Right.
Right. Okay. Is there any other comments before we call up the applicant and then?
And the depth is marked as 5 feet, whereas Stella had gotten a different measurement.
I think
Oh,
Where?
4.5, it's
sorry,
4.5.
Right, she got 4 here, right?
Right.
And then, so this is not 5.
Well, the width is not,
Not, right.
it's a little bit bigger, but
What is the width?
The,
5 foot 4 inches or something on the other plan and whatever Stella had.
So that's a little bit, so that's showing it's actually a little more generous than was previously.
So, okay, so
Stated.
how does that square up with what Stella's estimate was, which was 4 foot by 4 by 5, 4 foot 5 inches. It's still bigger than that enclosure, right? But
Yeah.
she said that there was still a little room, right, Stella?
Yeah, my
For the
my
length.
length was not right because I didn't measure to the very edge of the storefront. I only realized later looking at the photo that the white brick is included in the storefront. So,
Actually, 7 inches.
Yeah.
Right.
so yeah, I would go with the original, the architectural drawing that said it was 4 foot 5 or 5 foot 4 inches.
But if you could just go back to the photo there.
Uh-huh.
So the important measurement is the depth. Is 4 feet, so.
Right.
And
So it would have to be cut a little then, right?
No, that's 4 feet, so that's exactly where 2 tables and 4 chairs were before.
Is that what was on the
The
plan?
issues, they can't
Plan was
move into it.
1.4 foot 5 inches. right?
Yeah, and as Donna is pointing out, that the issue that, we don't have any guidance on is that the railings have to also be included
In there.
within that
And
space.
somebody has to be able to step to the other side
Yeah.
of they can
Yeah.
serve over it from the front door, but the patron has to be able to get to
Right, and
the
if-
north seat
and that's
somehow.
Right.
So
Yeah, and I don't-
tables may need to be 18 inches instead of 24 inches or whatever, but somehow there needs to be some kind of perimeter on
Somebody
there.
to-
And even though the wait staff doesn't have to get through there, the patrons need to be able to get to the seat on the other side.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Right, and there's no barrier
There's no
dimensions
leeway.
were given, so, okay.
or is there even a description of the barrier on the application?
Oh, no, I have it. Thank you. It just says,
No,
they require, they checked it off on the plan, like on section 3 under material requirements, not affix the sidewalk, maximum feet, 2 feet, 6 inches. But it's not clear, it's just a line here, so it's not clear if it's actually included in some of these sidewalk barriers are, a couple, they're planters and people don't realize that that's impedes into the serving space. Okay, do we want to hear from the public first and then we'll go to the applicant for our questions?
Let's hear from the applicant.
Okay. Sure. You want to come sit up here so we can hear you on Zoom? Great, thank you. Hi.
Daniel Newman. I'm one
Hello.
of the partners at Leitao. And thanks for having us. Actually, one point of clarification, I did fill out the questionnaire and it should have been 5. I wrote 6 by accident.
Okay.
That was just my error.
Okay,
I did measure myself and I got 14.5, but I'm happy to, it looks like some of the measurements need to be redone so we can do that in person again if needed. And yeah, the tabletops are TBD because obviously depends on where we net out with all these measurements, whether they're 18 to 24.
Mhm.
I think they're 22 at the moment. Are there any specific questions? I'm sorry, this is my.
yeah, no, we have some proposed modifications.
Okay.
For you, which we've kind of outlined, which are to demarcate on here the primary building entrance to 5 feet, which would then show that you cannot have the tables here.
Okay.
Then we would want the correction for the width to the 4 feet. And then this to the 5 feet, 4 inches, actually gives you a little more than you have there.
Yeah.
Which is based on the architectural drawing from the previous sidewalk cafe that was there, since that was an architectural measurement.
Okay.
And then, so it'd be agreeing to no seating on this side, adding the primary building entrance demarcation so that DOT, so it's.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So we actually went back and forth with DOT. I don't think this was an issue, so I would want to go back to them before I agree to that. getting rid of these, making this a primary entrance and getting rid of these tables. Because this drawing was done with DOT and their measurements as well. The 14.5 seems correct to me, so I think we should probably do another on-site visit since we have 3 different measurements for these different areas. Maybe we get more than 5, maybe it is 5 over here. But this from the building to the gate of the tree bed was 14.5 when I measured. So I'm happy to remeasure that again.
So the way that this kind of works is, this is us going back to DOT with that information about that the primary building entrance is not marked on there. So that is going to go into our comments. So we, at the end of the day, since this is a Sidewalk Cafe application, have to either say to approve with modifications, or to deny the application.
Gotcha.
So the way that we ensure that the changes get made is that we have applicants submit the updated site plan to both us and DOT, along with whether or not you agree to the modification. So it's a 1-page form that looks very similar to this. That just, it says we're going to update the site plan with the primary building entrance measurement demarcated on there, and confirming that we will not have seating on the south side, since it is the 5 feet extends onto this. It is a primary building entrance, so there's really no question to DOT on whether it is or not. I'm not certain what sort of advice the plan reviewer gave, but it is a primary building entrance. It's very clear that it is people that are in there, that is the main entrance for them to go in that building. So there is really no question on that.
Okay.
So we can't really,
No, I got
there
you.
really is
Okay.
no movement on there. Like, we're going to move forward with that recommendation. The 4-foot width, we do have the photo evidence of the 4-foot there. So we will include that photo as our exhibit, like in our feedback to DOT. The modifications form, what it does is it just gets us into agreement, and then it saves you probably 30 to 40 days off of the process, because it won't then go to a DOT public hearing. So
Okay.
that's why we offer it. I mean, I can type this up and get it to you to sign it right now as we go through the rest of these applications. And we can be done with that. The other item on there, I can't measure it. Yeah, it would be the 4-foot width, and then that the width would need to be 4 feet. And then at some point we could just say that the accurate measurement of I would say to go with the architectural drawing, since that was by a registered licensed, sorry, I'm 2 different computers here. So we could just agree on that here now. Let me just pull that up. Can I zoom? There was like zoom buttons down here. Am I missing that? Oh, there they are. Okay, so it does say the 5-foot. It's more than you have there. Like, we're giving you a couple inches here. Like, so if we want to disagree that it's 5, I can put that in there.
One of the things that got changed or clarified, I'm not sure which, besides
And this is 4 feet right here.
primary building entrance kind of clearance, which has a big effect. But the other thing that we had to investigate and discover for ourselves from DOT, the definition of the sidewalk is not to the face of the curb, but actually to the
Yes.
edge of the sidewalk where it meets the curb. So oftentimes that's a 6-inch difference.
Yeah.
With the.
I'll show you.
And I see on the architectural drawings, they do measure to the face of the curb.
So it's this. So it's the sidewalk is defined in the DOT rules goes to the curb line, not to the curb. It's very
Gotcha.
specific,
Okay.
which I know. It's just, we're just trying to look at these all the same and just trying to get through these.
The
So
first couple of applications, we weren't sure about it. And so we have had that clarification from DOT. So that may be where that difference in dimension.
So again, 4 feet, architectural drawing, 4 feet.
But that's just the
5
measurement of the tables. That's not,
So this is to the
we're trying to
line.
figure out how far it is from the front of the building to the edge of the tree bed. And right now I don't see there's a drawing that just shows 4 feet on it, but it doesn't show the tree bed. And this architectural drawing doesn't show the tree bed as well.
Well,
This tree bed.
So I assume we're measuring from the building. What I measured was the building to there's a metal structure around our tree bed.
Right to the edge of it,
To
right.
the edge of it.
right.
So from our building to that tree, to the metal structure is 14 and a half feet, which is not represented on this drawing. Excuse me. Because for me, the half a foot is a significant amount of space for all the reasons that you guys brought up.
Of course.
Serving and getting people in and out. So definitely we would need to, I couldn't agree to that because we need to clarify it's not in the photo or this drawing. And since I took these measurements, I'm relatively confident about that 14 and a half. The 5 feet, I think I was measuring to the edge of the window like that. That could go here, a couple inches here or there, depending on what they were measuring to. So that's not a big concern for me. But yeah, the 4.5 feet is a significant amount of space compared to 4 feet. Sorry, I'm a little hoarse.
That's okay. Let's see where that goes.
So I think for now, we'd have to go back and forth. I mean, I know you said it's a longer process, which is.
Well, we saw, I mean, these are due, yours is due. Look. You know, if you go out and look at this tomorrow or this week and come back to us and go, you know what, it really is this, or we go back out, or, let me just look at the due dates. So this one is due at the end of the month. So we still have probably like a week. We could go, you and I could go, we could go back and forth on this.
Okay.
If we can get to some sort of proposed, any other comments on that from the committee?
Yeah, I was gonna say that the metal railing it looks like it was installed after these plans were
For the
drawn.
tree bed?
So, yeah, so if you scroll down a little bit, to the bottom, and yeah. So just that would have been previous, before the metal railing was put in. So it's either on the outside or the inside. Usually they're on the inside because they're put into the dirt.
they are put into the dirt.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any comments on, I looked through some of the 311 complaints. You had, let's see, we received quite a lot of feedback regarding this application, and one in September for the sidewalk zone being blocked, barrier conditions for the roadway. Any comments on DOT dining out NYC during the temporary program?
For the temporary program? It was a rough ride. No, we've been doing our best. I think we had some rough patches with kind of crowd control, getting that under control. And now we're doing a good job we have somebody stationed outside at all times to direct the flow of traffic. Originally we were short-staffed, so I think that led to some issues out front, but now there's always somebody stationed out front to receive people, bring them in or direct them elsewhere. We've also implemented a waitlist feature. We have Resi. So we can take people's information and let them move on and then contact them later. Originally, we didn't have that when we reopened after COVID. So that created some bottlenecks.
Have you applied for roadway?
Yes.
And do you still have your roadway?
Yeah, it's currently up under the old or the.
And you plan on taking that down when?
I think the November 20, there's a specific date, 29th or.
And it's still, are you still operating under an agreement with Joe and the Juice?
Yes.
Where you pay them?
So right now we're using their space. I don't know what the last agreement is for but we're occupying their space at the moment, yeah, until the end of November.
Aren't you supposed to be in compliance with the new rules already since the beginning of the month?
So again, we've been going back with DOT. They said we're fine with our current structure.
How is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, you're renting public space
right.
from a different business.
Yeah.
It's not legal, is it?
No,
Yeah, I don't think that's legal.
Is this, should we have another discussion when our roadway seating comes up for?
We will have a separate
Yeah.
discussion on the roadway, but it is part, we are asking because it is something that's going to be, I know I've received a lot of feedback about that, and that agreement, and it
So
being, and it being blatantly in disregard of the rules, like you're not allowed to exchange funds for outdoor dining space. So that's,
Right. So I didn't,
I'm just asking about it because it's going to come up. So.
yeah, so under our old agreement, this is when we reopened 3 years ago or whatever it was, we were following those rules. As of my understanding is as of the new rules, when we are approved and we have to basically rebuild for next year, or the new rules don't allow us to use the space adjacent to our building. That's my understanding.
the new rule said you have to be in compliance by
November 1st.
That's what the new rules
First?
are. You keep your shed up or whatever until the end of the month, but whatever is there needs to be in compliance starting November 1st, which is why a lot of people are just taking them down because it's
It's a strange
more
month.
cost effective to take it down than it is to rebuild it for
30 days.
Right.
So you're not in compliance. Those are the rules. It's clearly spelled out on the page. It has to be in compliance.
That's it. It's gonna come up, so I just thought I would ask about it, just be
Yeah,
direct.
sure,
And obviously, it has, a lot of people see it as a blatant disregard for compliance with the rules and the idea of being a good neighbor. So it's gonna come up, so I just thought I'd ask.
Okay.
Okay, is there anything else you want to ask the applicant? And we're gonna go to public testimony.
Yeah, I guess in those complaints, there was something about putting out extra tables. And I just wondered if you had in mind to keep the 2 tables and keep them within the box. And would the extra staff be involved in doing that? Because that evidently was a concern, and sure is a concern.
Yeah, so I think originally we went back to the plan that's up there from our previous one. And then we had a meeting with the community and the local precinct, and they basically told us that the tables have to be up against our building to be in compliance. So now we have the 2 tables up against similar to that photo, up against the building. So
Right. So no qualms in keeping it like that.
right, yeah, before we had it.
Kind of overlap.
Right, yeah, and yeah, definitely if we went back to that, it doesn't comply with past the space.
And what time do you operate the Sidewalk Cafe?
Current, I think we usually close it before, or we always close it before the current set of rules,
What time do you close
which I
it?
think is,
Right, so you're.
no, we're closing before.
So you're violating your
Yeah, the light
stipulations, there are some stipulations also. Because those are all still in effect.
No.
Those are all still in effect.
Yeah,
And those are closing at 9 PM Sunday to Thursday and 10 PM Friday and Saturday. And the guidance from the liquor authority is crystal clear that you have to adhere by those stipulations unless you come to change them.
The hours are not adjudicated in this group, but there are people on our SLA committee who are going to
Right.
ask about that.
So we're looking at the character and fitness of the operator as well, which isn't necessarily a role, but DOT says that we can comment on it. And we've received so many comments from the public that's, that you were one of our top offenders during COVID. Right. And the precinct obviously had to meet with you. I mean, that's how bad the problems were. And you're violating all of your rules. So,
I believe now we're in compliance. Like I said, we don't.
Well, you don't even know what time you close the Sidewalk Cafe.
I'm not the front of house manager.
So,
Do you have any host stands or any service items that you're planning to have out there that are not on this site plan? That are going to impede on any sort of, because we would ask for you to agree to modify to not have that be the case because of the space.
So at the moment, there's a little podium that the iPad goes on, so we can greet people. But it's a mobile little stand for an iPad.
Okay. All right, we should go to the public. So I understand you're not agreeing to this 4 feet. You want to remeasure, you want to remeasure this, you want to remeasure the 14 and a half and see if you get to the 14. Are you agreeing on the primary building entrance and the 5 feet? It's pretty clear from the photo, but I just want to know if I can at least get an agreement there.
For now, since we're holding off, I'd like to just do my research because I was told, I was told something else by the TOT, which is really, I think since we're pushing this off, we can just come back after I can investigate this.
Okay. I will send through the copy of the modifications that we're asking you for, and it's up to you to sign them by the deadline.
Okay.
Does that sound based on what we've talked about here? And then you can forward them to DOT if you want. People have.
I don't hear from the public before.
Yeah, we'll hear from the public.
Okay.
Let's hear from the public. So, okay, thanks,
Thank
Daniel. Okay, so is anyone here wish to speak on Leitao or on Zoom? If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand. If you're here, please come up to the front and you will have 2 minutes to testify.
Can I go back?
Yeah, thank you. Oh, you can come here. You can come here. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Hi, please state your name for the record.
I'm Augustine Hope. I'm a
2
neighbor,
minutes.
neighbor of Leitao at 543 Hudson Street. So I've been hugely exposed to Leitao, especially over the pandemic, and we've been kind of overwhelmed by what's been going on there. They have a 40-foot wide shed in the road, which I questioned the commissioner, Manhattan Borough Commissioner of the DOT, and he said, no, absolutely not allowed to rent a shed next door.
And the DOT Borough Commissioner being whom exactly?
Pinker.
Great, thank you. Just for the record, thank you.
And so that was 18 months ago. They're still doing it, and they have a contract where they're paying $1,000 a month and two free meals a month to Joe and the Juice. And that shed has been an absolute nightmare for us. The noise is literally, it's like a bandstand. It's pointed at our houses. And then the side, we're not normally, we're quite supportive of sidewalks. They are the thing for the West Village. But, with all due respect, these people just can't miss an opportunity to expand their footprint. So we had an agreement with them dating to 23 that they would have two tops right in front of the building. Well, they're now 4, they're now 6, sometimes they're 8. And I'll show you a picture Saturday night, which is really the problem here, which
The audio just cut out. I think the microphone in the room.
We got it. Stella.
okay, so they got 3 tables deep. The agreement was 1 table. They've got this host stand right in the middle of the sidewalk. They put it right in the middle of the sidewalk. So when that adds another 2-3 feet to the space they're taking up. And when they constantly have people standing in front of the host stand, as they do here, so there's literally absolutely no room to walk down the sidewalk. There should be 10-foot clear path, absolutely no room. And it is constant. We are packed there the whole time. So, and then the other thing is, I don't think Daniel's really involved in this business. I think the guy who's operating and running it is Nuno Souza, who started Leitao a couple of years before he moved into the upright space. But he's not on the liquor license. So I think this is outrageously illegal. Nobody ever seems to call him to account for their behavior, for their incremental growth, for the noise they create, for the noise they create inside for the neighbors. And the SLA doesn't seem to do anything, and the DOT doesn't seem to do anything.
Wow.
So we have to depend on them to behave properly.
That's 2
here.
minutes. Thank
So,
you.
thank you very much.
It's not a fire drill. It's just in these times, I'm so sorry. It's just the YouTube 2-minute timer. I don't put it on here because sometimes it'll get our video struck for copyright. So
Thank you.
anyways, thank you, Augustine. Is there anyone else in the room here to testify? Great, you have 2 minutes. Now everyone knows what the sound sounds like. That's right.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Hello,
Please state your name for the record.
I'm Loretta Tassati. I live at 114 Perry Street, which is the side street around the corner from Leitao, but the front of our building is 549 Hudson, which is that Joe and the Juice building. The Sidewalk Cafe, which is supposed to have 2 tables there, accordions in and out all the time. It's usually impossible to walk through the street, but those 2 tables, that rule that they don't listen to or abide by makes me question whether having those number of tables that they're asking for, is that not also going to accordion out? And will those rules be ignored? The host stand is impossible to get around when there have a lot of people there waiting for their tables, even with the Resi system. It's always crowded. My other concern is when people roll up with strollers, those are also in the sidewalk, impossible to get around. Combine that with dogs also in that space, that all takes up sidewalk space from their patrons and from those tables that accordion in and out. So I just want everyone to, sort of take that into account with whatever permit may or may not be given to them for this cafe. Also, I question the need for more tables outside the cafe if they're going to retain the shed. No one enjoys the shed at all in the neighborhood. It's the last standing shed on Hudson Street. It would be great if it left now, not in December or November 29th, so that everyone could see the streets. I mean, the fire department doesn't love the sheds. The police don't love the sheds. It would be great if that shed were not there. But in any case, we're not here about that. We're here about the cafe.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Loretta. Wow, it really is something, isn't it?
It seems pretty finished.
All right, so we have, I'm gonna go to Vienna. Vienna, hi, I can promote you to panelist if you like.
What?
So I can promote you to panelist if you'd like to, or I think you are?
No.
Oh,
Join as panelist. I will.
okay.
Audio.
There you are.
Hi, how are you?
Hi from Copenhagen.
Good. All right, you have 2 minutes.
I do. Okay.
Thanks.
1 second, please. Let me just get my my notes out. Let's start by, I'll try to be quick. Leitao's venue type on their application, it says it's a restaurant with bar in parentheses. The venue type is a restaurant with a liquor license, of course. While Leitao does not have a cabaret license, their operation, particularly the late night hours, live monthly entertainment in basement, and focus on alcohol sales align more with a bar or cabaret style establishment. That's a big issue there. They're actually running an illegal monthly fado live music in the basement. The noise comes into our house. I didn't see the junction box that hasn't been approved by landmarks in the images that were presented. I think what you were looking at, CB2, is like a little key lock, but above it is a big junction box that Landmark has not approved on the front of the Sidewalk Cafe. It's very important that Nuno's maitre d' stand not be allowed because he moves it around and out and extends it out into the street. The two tables have not been kept as an agreement, as both Loretta and Augustine have mentioned. Originally, when Leitao had an unenclosed sidewalk, a permission for an unenclosed sidewalk, they actually had an enclosed sidewalk from the very beginning, meaning they had a fence or a railing around it, which was not which was not approved. They were supposed to have an unenclosed sidewalk. So that was going on for 7, 8 years, and was up until we had them removed when we had that forced meeting with the police station.
Can you wrap it up? I know I've read your testimony, which was very extensive, and thank you very much. I have one question on it when you're done, but if you can just wrap it up with.
I think I'm wrapped, that little sound. I'm wrapped. Please ask away.
I have a question also.
I'm sorry?
I also have a question.
Yes. So Vienna, you pointed out that the junction box was not approved by Landmarks. And we will look into that and add that to the modifications as something to be cleared up. It was really more of a comment, not really a question. Yes?
It's because I think they needed that junction box because they've extended their ventilation system to expand their downstairs 30 more patrons can now eat downstairs, so they had to expand their entire ventilation system. I mean, their kitchen is tiny and it's expanded, like out 40 people in the front and now 40 people down in the basement.
Okay. Thanks. I didn't know that. Carter, did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, when you referenced an enclosure, could you just explain that? Are you talking about a railing around it?
Yes,
They're required to have a railing.
Oh, even if it's an unenclosed, even if they're approved as an unenclosed sidewalk.
An unenclosed sidewalk cafe requires a demarcation around the edges of the sidewalk cafe, similar to before the pandemic. You would see, the low railings, et cetera, around all the sidewalk cafes. They're required to have a railing around it. When they say enclosed, enclosure means that there is a built structure with a roof, walls, et cetera.
Got you.
Just for the terminology.
Absolutely. No, it's good. Thank you for that. I do have a little issue around this tree bed situation, which you can see in my diagrams. If the sidewalk cafe works, if the sidewalk cafe is from this line, then it'll totally go into the other side, our sidewalk cafe, so it won't be a clear path. As you can see in the diagram.
What page is that of your document?
This is just, I don't have a page on here, but you can pull out any of the images that Leitao has supplied for you. And it's one of those images. I can just.
Okay. Let me share.
And you could also share the diagram that
Yeah, I was gonna go to that, but
okay.
I think it's one of these front-facing ones.
Not that one, not that one. That one can work. Or the top one here.
Yeah, let me go to that document. I think it was the most recent email you sent, right?
I believe so, yeah.
You can see my screen, right? Okay.
Yeah.
This one?
Yep, there we go. This would be, so in photo number 1, this would be a clear 10-foot clear path. If the clear path starts at tree bed number 2, then tree bed 1, then it would not be a 10-foot clear path. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? Can you scroll down? Yeah, right there. You know, I made a mistake on the other image. Can you scroll up? Right there. Yeah. Actually, tree 2. Yeah, if it started at tree 2, the clear path, and extended across to tree bed 1, then the 10-foot clear path would be on top of tree bed 1. Right now, my image is taken from the left tree bed, which is much larger than tree bed 2. So, yeah, if it's measured from tree bed 2, then there won't be a 10-foot clear.
I mean, this is just 8 feet. It's just 8 feet diagonal on this tree bed, but it is 10 feet because this does go parallel right here.
It does go parallel, but it's still.
So that's, so that requires 10 feet. This requires 8.
Okay.
Diagonal.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions for Vienna? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Okay, next, I think we had Steve Wygoda. I think I promoted him to panelist.
Hello. Hi.
Hello. Hi.
I am, there you go. Oh, I'm in the shadow. Sorry. So, hello, Carter. How are you? I've sent, this is a very good example of if we had a good operator, and I'm not editorializing here, that they at one point had a very nice, respectable seating layout. Tree beds never counted. I've done close to 2,000 sidewalk cafes. And Carter, I sent a book to Florence and to Bob, and I'll send you one that I published. My concern is that there's a lot of revenue loss for the city of New York here by reducing the footprint of the sidewalk cafes. And a restaurant like Lombardi's is going to lose everything they had. I represent them. And so, and I don't want to I don't want to hear those alarms, so I'm going to end it really quick. So starting a push, if you will, to modify the rules so that we could have a little breathing space. And I also included some analytics on the cost savings for the city and of course the restaurants. And if I were to make any profit on it, I will donate all my profit to cancer research. So I'm very vested in this, and I would like this board to consider this. Borough president is already working with me on this. I know it's a push, but it's something that I've done in my entire career for a long time. And so I feel there's a little bit of injustice being done here to the city of New York. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
So, Steve, I have a question for you. Isn't that the trade-off, though, of expanding the global universe of where sidewalk cafes can be located? The trade-off was to base it on pedestrian mobility. So because the area where sidewalk cafes can exist now is just about everywhere. They removed all the named restrictions, plus it's allowed in residential districts. And the pedestrian mobility plans seem to take that into account for that exchange.
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think that the group that put this together was very insensitive. 8 feet is plenty of space. ADA requires 5 feet. 8 feet is plenty of space. When Mayor Koch developed some of these rules, we operated really nicely until the pandemic. Community board, and I sat on board 1 for a period of time. So 8 feet is adequate. I have no idea whether they got 10 and 12 feet. All it did was eradicate some very wholesome family-owned businesses. And that's all in my write-up. I don't agree with the current rules, Carter. And I know you and I have disagreed many times before anyway, but I don't agree with the current rules. And I'm trying to there's an analysis that I did on just the space lost because of the 10 and 12 foot rule and the tree bed and all that of $1.1 billion over a 4-year period. So Florence has my analysis.
Thank you for sending that over, Steve, and thank you for your comments this evening.
Of course.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
I see.
All right, and that's it. Viana, we're not gonna do any back and forth if,
I just have one comment.
okay.
I'm
Sorry, excuse me. I'll make it very short. The hours, they're closing hours. It's much too late, 2 a.m. They should be like the rest of the area. It could be if it's at 11 p.m.
Thank you, Viana. So the hours are not adjudicated
Yeah, and I
in
just
this, they're
wanna
not
point out,
adjudicated in
because nobody
this.
here seems to realize this, that any changes on their liquor license must go before the full board because the conditions on this license were imposed and by the full board of the New York State Liquor Authority. And as a result, this will all be discussed if they do not adhere by the hours that are stipulated on their liquor license. And you'll all have a chance to show all of the breaking of the rules. We just had another case where the applicant was denied being able to use their outdoor area for alcohol because of their bad behavior during COVID. So.
All right. Thank you, Viana.
Thank you.
Great. So we're going to move to our next application. It's Sanmiwago at 90 Bowery for Sidewalk Cafe. We also have a Roadway Cafe application for this applicant. Sorry, I'm trying to move. Oh, somebody did that already. So let me just. Can someone just move people? Thanks. Okay. All right, so let me just pull up that application. I don't know. Is there a Jeffrey Liu on? I don't know.
I don't see him.
Oh, I have this over here. Okay, so next. Okay, so.
I just want to ask if there's a representative here.
Are you asking in the chat?
No.
Oh, is there a representative for Icook Bowery Inc. or Sanmiwago at 90 Bowery? Is there anyone here to speak on that application? I don't think there's anyone in the room, but is there anyone on Zoom? All right, I'm not seeing anyone, so let's just go through this one then. Share my screen. So we're talking about the sidewalk, and then let me see if I want to zoom with my mouse on this. There we go. So they're proposing 2 tables, 4 seats. There is a primary, not a primary building entrance. We've discovered that is a exit, or it says building entrance. So there is no required 5 feet there. It's an alternate exit for the preschool upstairs. Is that right? All right, so does this fit in the box? Do we have a different size box for this one? I'm just gonna pull up some notes. Do you have any problems with the Sidewalk Cafe at this location?
I can start.
Okay,
I measured that the width of the sidewalk on the site plan, it says it's 13. I measured it was 11 inches or 11 feet, 4 inches. And because it needs a 10-foot clearance here, that means that it would only have 16 inches or 1 foot, 4 inches for their sidewalk cafe width.
okay. And they did return a questionnaire very late today, but I don't think.
I have the dimensions in front of me. They said that the table dimensions would be 24 inches by 24. And then the chair would be 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet. So 18 inches.
Which doesn't work.
Yeah, they would have to have smaller furniture items.
Okay. Right, because they're doing that based on what, on 13 feet?
Right.
Okay. And they have currently nothing set out there right now, correct?
Yeah, I didn't see anything.
I didn't either when I went by. Okay, so. Six, so it would be 11. Let me just look. So you're saying instead of the 14 point.
I'm talking about the width.
The width, got it, okay.
The depth from the building. Right now, they say 3 feet, but from my measurements, it would have to be only 16 inches.
Got it. Is a cafe possible here with only 16 inches of space? We don't, so we do know the size.
Yeah, the boundary, I mean, the perimeter demarcation has to be within that as well, so that's.
Right. Impossible for anything.
And then, and then the building entrance doesn't count because it's an exit only and the primary building entrance is on Bowery, just to be crystal clear.
I have another question about the diagram, because when I went there, there's another whole section to the left of the, what I think is marked as the building entrance with the restaurant sign over that section, another door on the far left.
Over here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, it's all in the diagram from the SLA, it's their kitchen. And that's it, employee only.
Yeah, I can show.
Entrance.
Well, that's fine, but it's an indented portion of the facade, which might make it possible for some seating there. I'm surprised they didn't take advantage of that recess.
I'm not sure they can cross the facade of the exit because no patrons or staff can reach it from any of the doors, which is why they probably did not include it.
Right.
I see, yeah, right. There would not be a serving.
It's in this one, isn't it, Carter?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Oh, well.
Okay.
So there's the kitchen area, yeah.
And it looks like it's, like I say, it's approximately 12 to 18 inches recessed. As, by the way, all of the entrance doors for the restaurant and for the building are actually recessed back from the building facade. And probably they all swing out as it's shown, but it's just a pretty rough diagram, not very accurate, so we can't count on it for any of our.
Right, because they have it swinging in here? Is that right? Am I reading that right?
They did show it swinging in and it flush with the facade, but it's.
Yeah, whereas here it's swinging out, right on this one?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, that's interesting because it makes it complicated to serve that table to the left.
Right.
How do I zoom? Oh, I need like a touch mouse pad. This is driving me nuts. Sorry. I'm like, oh. I can't like zoom out automatically. Oh, I guess I could hear.
Table to the left, the table to the right.
Okay, so are we saying that these two tables can't work here? Can one table work here?
Well, I think that Stella brought up, it just doesn't seem reasonable with the measurements.
Actual measurements.
Because the sidewalk width was not measured accurately.
Right.
Also, something to note, on this site plan, it mentioned that the sidewalk width was 13 feet, but on the Roadway Cafe site plan, it said that the sidewalk was 13 feet. Maybe that's something we'll talk about with the roadway application.
You're saying it's 13 feet on one and it's 13 feet on another?
Yeah, 13 on one and 10 on the other.
So it's showing 10 here, or it's showing 13 here? Sorry, I'm just not,
On the sidewalk site plan, it says 13. On the roadway site plan, it says 10.
this is the sidewalk site plan, no?
Yeah, this looks different from the one that I have. But
I have one for roadway. And then I have this one.
right, so the one that you're on right now, if you scroll to the side a little bit, you'll see it says 10 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So
10
just
feet.
the discrepancy.
Okay, 10 feet. Oops. And, oh, I see what you're saying, 13 feet. 13 to the curb.
And I have a roadway that's.
What I'm gonna do. Thirteen, 10. So that's 13, and that's 10 and 3.
That's 13.
Isn't that?
And.
But that's the roadway, but that's the
You said
roadway.
you measured it.
I see what you're saying, Stella.
What's your measurement, Stella, for the sidewalk there?
I got 11 feet 4 inches, and that's not including the curb. It was a pretty big curb, but that's just, I didn't measure how big the curb actually was. So that's,
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I just put these next to one another because I see what you're saying, that it's saying 3 feet in the roadway and then 10 feet there on the sidewalk, this being the curb line, right? I see the discrepancy, okay. Okay, so. 11. So the box dimension is 6 feet by 16 inches, and that's going across, right, the restaurant entrance, which is allowed.
what, say that again?
I said on the box dimensions for this one, for the sidewalk, would be 6 feet across? Or no?
So I measured, I measured 6 feet 8 inches out, west from the restaurant entrance.
Mhm,
I measured 16 inches in depth.
right,
I measured from there to the tree bed. And I got that it was only 7 feet 4 inches. So the length would have to come in. And if you go to the Google Drive, or I can share my screen.
sure,
Okay, hold on.
should be able to share.
You have to stop, I think, right?
Multiple people can share simultaneously, but I will stop.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see. So here's a picture of the sidewalk where I got 11.4. And then this is the tree bed clearance with the 6'8". I don't know why that's upside down, but the 6 foot 8 inches out from the entrance here, 16 inches out. And then this was 7 feet 4 inches. But because it has to be 8 feet, the line got wonky, just ignore that. But I measured that it would have to be 6 feet here in order to have 8 feet here.
Okay,
So the box would be 6 feet by 16 inches to the west of the restaurant, which is here, at the restaurant entrance.
so not having anything on the other side of that entrance the way it's shown, correct?
Well, then I also measured in the opposite direction to the west, to the mailbox here. So they proposed 8 feet and then I did 16 inches out. And then this measurement was 6 feet, 7 inches. Oops, that's the wrong one.
Why is it 16 inches out?
Yeah, where's the 16 inches? Oh, the 16 inches is the depth?
Right. Because
It's out.
the available or the allowable sidewalk cafe width would be 1 foot 4 inches, which is 16 inches. Let's see. Oh, no, that one. But I measured that if it's 5 foot 3 inch length and 16 inches out, then there is an 8 foot clearance. So to the west of the entrance, the box dimensions would be 6 feet by 16 inches and still have the 8 feet to the tree bed.
Mm-hmm.
And then to the east of the entrance, in order to have the 8 foot clearance of the mailbox, I got that it could be 5 feet 3 inches by 16 inches.
Okay.
16 inches.
The 16 inches is from the,
Because the required clearance on this sidewalk is 10 feet.
Right.
And so the sidewalk width I measured was 11 feet 4 inches. And so the difference is 1 foot 4 inches, which is 16 inches.
okay. So then on the site plan, and I see that Jeffrey from Sanmiwago is on under the name Juliet, so we will call on him in just a second for comment and our questions, but let me just look at this site plan one more time.
I can pull it up.
Sure, that would be great. Okay, so it's a reduction from 6 feet 8 inches on the west side in length to 6 feet, and a reduction from 8 feet in length on the east side to 5 feet 3 inches. This is all with a 16-inch width.
Depth. Yeah.
Depth, right? Okay, that's what I needed to know. Okay. Great, so we were gonna ask for Sanmiwago sidewalk, reduce the west side footprint from 5 feet, from 6 feet 8 inches to 6 feet, and reduce on the west side from 8 feet to 5 feet 3 inches, and a complete reduction of the width to 16 inches or 1 foot 4 inches, because the sidewalk width presented is not accurate and complete. It is actually 1 foot, it's actually 11 feet 4 inches, not 18 feet. So that's what we will write in the, that's what we will ask the applicant to agree to. If we want to move forward and approve this with modifications, and we talked about this in business session. Is there anything else to add to that?
Well, we do want to clarify for the applicant that the 16 inches includes the barrier boundary. And as we said at the beginning of this discussion, it's an impossibly narrow sliver of the sidewalk.
So I'm really not sure, right. So on their on their form, I have the barrier width for the roadway, but for the sidewalk,
There's 3 feet by 3 feet.
that's what I have for the roadway. Yeah, so
That's for
3
the
feet by
sidewalk.
3 feet for the sidewalk cafe doesn't work.
But it's a band.
Huh?
Even if it's a narrow little thing, I mean, I guess 16 inches, people need, it needs to be there and somebody needs to be able to access that seat on the far side.
Well, a 3-foot wide perimeter demarcation is more than 16 inches, so it just doesn't work.
Right, if that's
So
what
we'll
they're
ask
using.
about that. Okay, is there anything else before we call up the applicant? Okay. Do you want to talk about the roadway? I guess we kind of did both, or are we going to call up and talk about the sidewalk and then we'll get comment on the sidewalk and then go to roadway? Just kind of asking the group. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've asked the applicant to be promoted. I don't know if that's happened.
Looks like they're up there on participant.
Right, so I did that. It was someone named,
Julie Locke?
yeah, I don't, oh, there we go. I've asked to unmute, I've asked to start video. I'm not sure what else to do. Jeffrey, are you on? We'd like to hear from you.
Hello?
Hi,
Hi. How are you, everybody?
good.
Good. Yes. Any question?
Yes, so we've actually have measured the sidewalk and it's actually not 13 feet, it's actually 11 feet, 4 inches. So we are gonna ask if you'll agree to update that on your site plan. Our goal is to find a way to approve this with modifications. So we're gonna present you with modifications to your application. I will share.
Our sidewalk, how long the sidewalk with the whole building? More than the whole building is the sidewalk is very long, the 25 feet long.
So we're not talking about the sidewalk length, we're talking about the width of the sidewalk. So the sidewalk width on the site plan says 13 feet, but we've measured it, and I will show you photos in 1 second. That it's actually not 11 feet. I mean, it's actually not 13 feet, that it's actually 11 feet, 4 inches. So the space for your sidewalk cafe is reduced because the measurement is not accurate. So we can't approve a plan with an inaccurate sidewalk measurement because everything else is based on.
So you want me to measurement again?
So we're just asking for it to be corrected on the site plan to the accurate measurement. We have measured it here. I've shared.
Excuse me. So you measure by yourself or?
Yeah.
Okay. So you want the measurement is, but it's more than from the door up to the curb, up to the low side, right?
So it actually does not go to the curb. So the way the sidewalk is defined in the DOT Dining Out NYC rules, it goes to the curb line, not to the actual, it does not include the curb. It's on page 5 of 31 of the Dining Out NYC rules. It's section 5. It defines what a sidewalk is. So the sidewalk width is from the curb line to the property line as shown here. And so we've measured it at 11 feet, 4 inches. Your site plan has it at 13 inches. So there's a required clearance on Hester Street. It's considered a regional corridor of 10 feet. And so the width for your sidewalk cafe is 1 foot, 4 inches or 16 inches.
So is my width of the sidewalk is enough or not enough?
If you can fit a table in 16 inches with a perimeter demarcation, we're happy to see that, but the barrier size that you've listed on the sidewalk cafe is a width of 3 feet, and that far exceeds 16 inches.
I see. Let me put on the low side though, if the sidewalk cannot.
On the low side?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
a lot of space over there though.
Well, can you just show the other photographs?
Yeah, so on this one, this is on the east side, and this is where on the east side of your restaurant door, that's that bifurcates the restaurant entrance. There we go. Your two sides of the sidewalk cafe, you've proposed 8 feet on that side. However, when acknowledging what the clearances are, 8 feet from the obstruction of the mailbox, plus the length, you actually have, because of the diagonal 8 feet clearance for the obstruction, which is the mailbox, it actually reduces your length from 8 feet on this side of your door to 5 feet 3 inches. And then on the west side here, the required clearance from the tree bed is 8 feet at the diagonal, again, to where the 16 inches would come out. And here, that the actual dimensions, the box you could fit a cafe on this side is 6 feet by 16 inches. Again, 6 feet being the length due to the clearance required from the tree bed, and then the 16 inches based on an 11-foot 4-inch sidewalk and a 10-foot required clearance.
So how many tables could be fit over there?
You would need to have a 1 foot wide table and 1 foot wide stools.
Okay.
And even then, if you have a barrier, there's no way, if you have the barrier on all the sides, for anybody to get to the other.
You would need a very thin barrier in order to the barrier can't exceed that square footage. It has to be included within it.
Then what's the Leitao right now?
It doesn't really work. There's such little space that's left. It doesn't really work practically.
Out front, it's a big space. Like the post office, the one over here. Very, I don't know how to explain it, but it's the table over there. I don't think it's like because a big wide place. I don't know, because I really don't know how the rule is, but the table is fit over there though. The small table, 2 small table is really good over there. It's not, it's more than enough. Like put 2 small table outside.
We're just telling you what the, based on all of the obstructions, what the box, based on the rules that DOT outline, what box of space is available.
Yeah, the measurements that you provided in your diagram are not correct.
I don't know. I thought it's a lot of space over there. When you sit down over here, but if you talk about the curve, I don't know the rule. But there's a tree over there in the front. There's a post office, the mailbox over there. I don't think it's any matter. It's the considered as a barrier for the mailbox over there. If like something happen, people easy like movement just outside. This just a mailbox. It's not the barrier. I don't think it's a barrier over there. This very just a mailbox. I don't know.
Yeah, but the rules are very clear. I mean, these are just measurements.
I know. Is the mailbox considered as a barrier? I don't know that.
It's considered an obstruction.
I know it's an obstruction. It's the mailbox is if like that, I have no saying. But just like the obstruction. But it's I don't think it's part of the people movement over there.
So I get it. I understand. Like it's not your mailbox. It's but it is listed on page 18 of the Dining Out NYC rules that it requires an 8-foot clearance. So it is within your boundaries of your, premises.
He has it marked on his application as having a 9-foot. It's on there. It's just on there incorrectly. It's not measured.
I know. As long as you talk about the mailbox, as long as the mailbox move to other place, then everything okay, right?
Yeah, but here's the thing. You provided us with a diagram with inaccurate measurements. All the measurements, you say it's 9 feet from the mailbox and then you have 3 feet left. And that's simply not true. And it's also by the tree bed.
My employee measured.
Okay, but all those measurements are all incorrect.
Oh my God.
So.
So I mean, the thing is, it's like the measurement from the tree bed needs to be at this corner. Of course, you can get to 9.2 here, but it's got to be from the corner of the tree bed. It's not from wherever we choose to get the diameter that we want. If anyone else wants to add in on that. So
depending on how they measurement, because it's kind of confused for them to measure back and forth. But anyway, of course, based on your measurement. So
the city says that the guidelines are easy to follow.
Yeah.
That's not us.
Yeah.
This is the city. So their guidance.
So even not one table or two table?
I don't think realistically they fit.
How about two small table?
But I don't think that if you have a barrier, a table and a chairs, and you have to be able to walk by the barrier and the table to get to it. I don't see how you have enough space.
Because sometimes I saw a lot of the people, the street, even narrower than our restaurant, they still have the people at the table over there.
But they're not following.
I know,
the
but
guidelines.
it's the old program. It's not including all of these clearances, which I understand are becoming quite a hindrance for a lot of operators. So we're just here, we're applying the rules that city has passed unilaterally.
I totally understand. So we, as the post office, just move the PO box to somewhere else. So then everything okay, right? Can I say that?
I mean, we can't count on that. I mean, we can't count on that.
You would have to make a new application after that happens, or that would need to happen in the next week or two.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they're moving the mailboxes in that fashion based on a request to just move it. Because they also have to get a permit to put it there.
It's kind of because a lot of customer request sit outside because like our area is traveling area. The front is the hotel. The people over here, like as long as like the summer, they sit down, but we don't have the table sit outside. They willing to sit outside because it's really nice. Our in Hester the street is quiet and nice over there. When they sit outside over there, they feel I don't know.
Yeah, I understand, and we're not here making a qualitative judgment on it. We're looking at the numbers that this is. And I know it's very frustrating that DOT would take your money and allow you to continue with this specific application process, knowing that there's all these discrepancies. So I'm sorry that you had to go through that. But we also have your roadway application to look at. So let's we'll pause on that discussion of you. Just wait for a few minutes. We're going to look at the roadway application and we'll call you back up in a second. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So is there anyone from the public that wanted to testify on 90 Bowery, Sanmiwago Sidewalk Cafe in the room or on Zoom? I don't see anyone. I don't see any hands raised. Okay. So let's go to the roadway application. Try to zoom. Oops. Okay, so on this one.
All right, Hudson.
You just mute.
Okay,
Okay, gonna mute. Okay, so let's look at the roadway really quickly. We'll wrap up with our last two applications. So restaurant frontage. Roadway, they've got some width. They're saying 3 feet for the roadway cafe? Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's to get the emergency one.
Okay, got it.
The problem, again, is that the barriers are also 3 feet, so that leaves you with.
So it's not clear if the barriers.
So it leaves you 1.5 feet on the inside. So you know.
Okay.
Well, why don't we look at the photographs, because I think those are pretty illustrative, right?
Right.
From Stella?
Yeah, and thank you, Stella, for taking
Yeah.
this, 'cause I think that they illustrate the.
Okay. Stella, tell me which ones.
Sure. I mean, I'm looking again at the site plan.
Mhm.
I'm just a little bit confused about the storefront and what we are considering a storefront, and also just trying to interpret the site plan. It seems like if we want to go back to the site plan for a minute, I know that's
Oh, yeah.
annoying to toggle back.
That's okay. I'm getting the hang of it. Okay. Can you guys see it?
So when I was thinking about the storefront, I was, in my mind, I was thinking about the kitchen entrance being included. In the site plan, it seems like the applicant is saying that the frontage goes basically right up until the kitchen, but the kitchen, that back door entrance is not included here. So if you scroll down a little bit on the site plan,
It is, I believe that's the building entrance, if you scroll up, and what they don't show is the kitchen entrance.
right?
Over here.
I think that, yeah, I guess I'm just wondering if
Not
the
to scale.
roadway extends to the kitchen entrance, or if the kitchen entrance is kind of off screen of the site plan.
I don't think it's to scale, because I think that that is the correct
Yeah,
of the
And
restaurant.
it does go all the way to the kitchen edge.
That's 37
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah.
So Stella,
Oh, yeah.
are you telling us that you measured from the corner of Bowery and Hester? And you measured to where you thought the frontage ended as being?
No.
so I did measure that, and I actually got 44 feet approximately.
To where?
Did I put that picture in
Yeah,
there?
it's in there, Stella. It says storefront length, case number 2.
Okay. So I measured to the very edge of the property. So it goes a little bit past the storefront. Maybe that's the difference. Or it goes past the door. But I think on the interior, the wall goes to the end of that black stretch.
Here.
Can you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, right here.
Well, the way I measured went even further beyond that.
Right, to here.
Yeah.
Right. If they measured,
Which is that's the door to the kitchen.
Okay.
so my measurement went past the door itself and to the edge of the black.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe that's the difference in where I was getting more. I don't know what the interior wall is there. I was just assuming that it would go to the edge of the property and not to the door, but either way,
So it goes from here to here is what the site plan's
All the
saying?
way to the far
No, it's-
right.
Saying from
Going, Valerie.
the right-hand
there,
corner to the,
To here.
no.
To the black, to the end of the
It's
black.
about a 9 foot of difference coming back towards.
Oh, right here, right here.
Yes.
so I guess that's the question. Is the kitchen that back space the kitchen and storage area, is that part of the storefront?
Well, I think that,
I think it is, 'cause it's a sign.
well, hold on, I think that the question becomes, Stella, that's what I had said to you, is whether or not you can cross the frontage of another business. And that dedicated access to the rest of the building does not exclusively belong to the restaurant.
Right.
What, the preschool entrance?
Correct. And so the question is, can you cross over that?
This came up someplace else. Oh,
That's, it came up, but we never got an
Right.
answer because it wasn't allowed.
right.
Well, and also be a question for Jeffrey, what is part of his leasehold?
Well, he's,
So we have it on the,
Yeah, I mean,
His
Stella
face
has
goes-
a picture that just shows that it's an exit for the preschool.
Hello? Any question?
yeah, just 1 second. Are you guys ready to ask our questions? Is there something else you wanted to look at on this one?
Well,
Is it under the sidewalk, Stella, the entrance door, right? Or is that in there? 1 second, Jeffrey.
Okay, no problem.
His space goes behind that entrance.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Said that.
Yeah, it does.
But the question is, is that?
Is that allowed to go? Yeah.
That was the question.
Okay, let me just go back to the roadway. Okay, it was on this, wasn't it?
We already. So,
I don't know. Well, people keep asking about it. Jeez.
I don't have the picture of the preschool door on my computer, but if you go to Google Maps, can you be able to see it? Or I could send it from my phone to my computer, but that's gonna take a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I saw you sent it through, I think, to me separately. Okay, what are our questions for Jeffrey? I have a few.
Okay.
What size have you? In the 25 feet. In the 25 feet, what does that include in the 3 feet in width and the 25 feet in length? What is the, are you saying does that include the 3-foot barriers in here?
No. We just like this area, we're gonna put 3 small table over there. Like
Okay.
they might sit down, get a drink, bubble tea or whatever, something like that.
you just, so the issue is that the width of the street, you need the emergency lane. And so whatever the barriers that you have are, if they're, you say on the questionnaire that the barriers themselves are 3 feet wide, so,
Oh, no barrier over there. 3 feet is like, just like the, we
No,
think
no,
about the service area, this is service
No,
area.
but we're asking what the additional area is with the barriers. So the
Oh, the
barrier.
additional area, just 12 feet over there though. You see that the sidewalk, okay, let me see.
No, but what I'm asking is the wood that you use on the outside, how wide is that?
The outside?
The outside barrier, how wide is it?
Oh, the outside barrier, we make it like about feet wide.
3 feet is what he said on the questionnaire.
Yeah, so how
Yeah,
wide?
I know, I understand. Like you want the outside have the barrier to block it, right?
So it's this. So let me just go to we go to the roadway. On the questionnaire, you had put, it's really small, you had put a 3 foot by 3 foot, 25 foot barrier dimension. I need to probably work on that. So if it's 3 feet in width, so that's, if it's a 25 foot right? That's 6 feet coming in.
Let me just understand this question. We thought is like what area we have to block it, like make our service area. Like but the barrier, we talk about barriers to block the other non-cut get in.
If you have, this is 3 feet. I don't know if you can see, right?
So the regulations are a minimum height of 30 inches, maximum height of 42 inches, and the minimum width is 4 inches.
Okay.
And it says that it's water-filled barriers. So you can make them smaller, so.
Yes, I can make it 4 inch.
Because that's, again, this is not to scale, but if that's 3 feet, like then that's 3 feet.
Yeah, they're not gonna be 3, I mean.
I know, but I know, okay.
It's interesting though.
I will.
150 pounds.
Okay. Was there another question on the length for Jeffrey? Does someone want to articulate that better?
Well, the question, Jeffrey, just so you know, and we don't know the answer to this, is can you have the roadway across the entrance for the daycare? Because that's not only your space. We don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, we don't know.
And so
okay, most they are all get off already. They get off at 5 o'clock mostly.
No, I understand it's more of a technical question for DOT because it's not your space exclusively. So what it might have to be is that you actually have 2 roadways, maybe, one on each side or only one roadway. We don't know.
Okay, the daycare entrance, they are in the middle of our restaurant. On the left-hand side is all our area, and the right-hand side is all our area. Their entrance is in Bowery. This their side entrance. They're not the main entrance.
It's not the main.
So we understand that.
We don't know if you can block it.
We just don't know because it's going across another business and we don't know if that's allowed.
It's on the second floor.
And also they mostly they finish at 5 p.m. they finish already. And also they supposed not use this side. I don't know. They are main entrance in the front.
We understand. We're just, these are the rules that were, we didn't the rules.
I got it.
The rules.
I know what you mean. You just
we're trying to understand them to be consistent across all different applications.
And Jeffrey, you've indicated there's no flooring in the roadway, that it's at grade with the road. Is that correct?
Huh? I don't get it.
There's no flooring in the roadway cafe. There's nothing raised.
So typically the reason,
right here, it's not.
Where the flooring, when you have a very narrow sidewalk cafe, is important because it's how it's ADA accessible.
Roadway cafe.
For the roadway cafe.
Okay.
So if you don't have a floor in the roadway cafe,
okay,
it's ADA accessible because it's only 3 feet. You can't put a ramp in there. So the suggestion would be to explore a way to have a flooring that meets the rules so that that it's ADA accessible.
Or you have a ramp.
Because a ramp, if it's only 3 feet wide, you can't put a ramp so a wheelchair can get into it.
Our wheelchair can get in our restaurant.
No, into the roadway.
Into the roadway cafe.
Of course, they could get in there. There's a big space.
No, but it's only 3 feet wide. So there's no ramp to go down.
You want a ramp over there?
Well, no, I'm saying that you probably want there to be a floor that's as high as the sidewalk. so that a wheelchair can get in anywhere, because there's nowhere for you to put a ramp. Because the
No,
ramp
we don't.
has to be.
We don't put a lamp over there though. We do not necessarily put a lamp over there.
No, but there's no way for the wheelchair to get into the Roadway Cafe.
I don't know. I don't see why they cannot, like the wheelchair cannot sit down over there.
Well,
This
it's because of the height of the sidewalk.
How are you getting people from here to here? This is the floor of your Roadway Cafe, right? You're not putting-
No. They could get in from the Bowery Street. They have the chair over there on the right hand side. On the right hand side, they could get in.
No, we're talking about in the roadway.
The Roadway Cafe.
In the Roadway Cafe, you have the barrier all around it. So in order to get into it,
Be from the sidewalk.
has to be from the sidewalk to go to the roadway.
No, they don't. They are not. If they're wheelchair, they're not on this way. They suppose they are not like get from the street. They should get it from on the sidewalk, like from Bowery Street or at the end of the other street. They supposed to not go across the street.
No, to go
into your Roadway Cafe.
I got it. I got it. What you mean? But they supposed to not get in this way to get in. They supposed on the other side, on the right hand side. They had.
But you have a barrier there.
No, they don't have the barrier over there. On the barrier on the other side, they also can get in. That's a street over there. On my right hand side.
No. We mean inside your Roadway Cafe, inside the Roadway Cafe.
Here on the sidewalk.
You can only get in from the sidewalk into it.
Of course.
And you say there's no floor.
They must get it from the sidewalk. They cannot get it on the.
There is no entrance to the cafe here.
Yeah, we do have the entrance to the store.
No. Where your Roadway Cafe.
Yes.
To be ADA accessible.
Yeah, they do. They have a large space over there, but of course they cannot get in from the street. They cannot get in.
How does a wheelchair get into the Roadway Cafe?
They get it from the on the right hand side from the Bowery Street. There's the post office on the side. They slope.
No. We mean.
So you're saying someone that wants to go in with their wheelchair into the Roadway Cafe, they have to come out here onto Bowery and go into the roadway?
Yes, of course. The same
But then
side.
how are they going to get in the cafe? There is no entrance here.
No, this is the side. Oh, this is the outside though. This is outdoor. It's not inside. If they go to inside my restaurant, they have the on the sidewalk. They could get in.
No, but what we're saying is that you have a 4 or 5 inch drop from the curb down to the road.
They need to get it from the sidewalk.
No, but you need a ramp for it to be ADA, or you need a floor in the roadway that lifts it up so it's the same height as the
ADA accessibility is not just someone wheeling a wheelchair just over down the curb. That's not ADA accessible. If there is any,
I don't understand the question. But when you see the picture over there, on if they had the wheelchair, they could get in my restaurant. Then of course they could get in the Roadway Cafe. Of course, this is table.
So on your materials that you've submitted, you say that the road itself is the floor, right? The pavement.
No, that whatever the picture see is what it look like though. But when we answer the question, we are not quite. Sometimes we not quite understand what like the really maybe not answer in the.
Sure. So on your form, you haven't checked that there's flooring being used in the Roadway Cafe, which indicates that the road.
Maybe we are answering the. We just wanted the outdoor, put some few table over there. That's a very simple one. But when we answer the question, we really don't understand what. Sometimes we might misinterpret over there. But based on your judgment, you see it like if okay, then okay, because like that don't if you answer in the wrong way, don't consider on it. we might misunderstand what the question is. But when you see the picture, see all these small table over here, it don't like bother the people who sit in a wheelchair, because if they can get in our restaurant, they then could sit in the outside over there though.
Okay, I don't think we're gonna get much further on this, so, thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you very much.
Okay, is there anyone else here to speak on this application? From the public? Okay, we're gonna move to the next, is there anything else on that one? Okay, let's move to the next two.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks. So the next one we have is, Sweetgreen, New York LLC, DBA Sweetgreen. Not sure if we have, is there someone here to speak on this application that's in the audience? Great. Great, thank you, Patrick. We will call on you in just a second. We see that you're here. But let's quickly go through this application, then we will call on Patrick and promote him and all those things. So, okay. So Sweetgreen, we do have some questions on this one. We understand that there is a setup that is currently there. And one of our main questions to the applicant is going to be, are they really intending to move it north? I believe that's the question. We do see that while the applicant has several more feet, almost double the amount possible for their frontage, they've elected to keep it within a small footprint. I think what is very similar to what their current setup is. This applicant also filled out a questionnaire that had the different measurements of their seating and tables with photographs, which was great to have above and beyond. But on that, so there were some questions about, let me just pull it up, what the box was on this one. So let me just look. Oh, that's what it is. It's what's shown on the north is the site plan shows it on the northern edge will align with the entrance. I'm just reading some notes that Stella had put together. And the tree bed will be in the middle of the cafe. So is the location shifting to the south, or is the current cafe the anticipated placement? We also saw a discrepancy from the questionnaire and the site plan. One has a width of 7 feet, 6 inches, and then the questionnaire says 8 feet. So we do need clarification on that. Let's see. Stella, do you want to take any comments we need to call out specifically?
Sure. Do you want to, I can share my screen, or
Yeah,
if you want to.
sure. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, this picture, I think, hopefully explains it better than words alone would. So on the site plan, the northern edge of the Roadway Cafe seems like it lines up with the door here, the northern edge of the door, which would then shift everything further south. And then if that's the case, we would want to re-verify that there is enough clearance between the fire hydrant and also the crosswalk, which are both to the south. So is this current location of the Roadway Cafe the intended placement and the site plan shows it wrong, or will it be shifted over? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. So I guess we should get that cleared up now with the applicant. So let me find.
So we have a definite dimension of the Roadway Cafe,
Mhm.
and we know what the minimum clearance to the crosswalk or other obstacles are.
Mhm.
So And the Roadway Cafe dimension is smaller than what they're allowed to have, so
Yep.
all we have to do is stipulate that they will maintain the clearances by the rules. Oh, and then I think Stella also pointed out that, right, the way it's constructed right now, that doesn't line up with the sidewalk, but that could be handled with a little metal attachment to make up the difference for a little ramp along that.
Patrick, hi.
Hello, can you folks hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Happy to answer your questions. Let me just introduce myself. My name is Patrick Dowd. I am the licensing manager for Sweetgreen. I wanted to just apologize in advance. I submitted a number of these DOT applications for all of our sidewalk cafes and roadside dining permits at the same time. So I apologize as I learned along the way. I think my applications got better. So I just want to just apologize for any discrepancies out of the gate. When it comes to your questions about whether we're going to be shifting north and the discrepancy between 22.5 versus 23 feet, the fact of the matter is that those site plans that you received, that you're reviewing right now, were from our design team before the structure was built. So I submitted these back in March to comply with the April 1st submission deadline. And I didn't have an actual parklet on site at the time. So to answer your questions, yes, the location that the parklet is located in now is where we intend to deploy the parklet next year.
Okay.
Having been on site in September and measuring, I got a distance of 13 feet from the mailbox, from the farthest south-facing edge of the parklet, and 21 feet from the fire hydrant and the sidewalk. So I believe that's well within the compliant distance. And when it comes to the alignment with the entryway, Stella was mentioning, I do see that we're currently shifted much further north than where the site plan indicates. So yes, it's going to be encroaching to the northern side, to the left side of the entryway. Happy to give any more details, but I'll kind of keep it succinct for now.
What about the distance from the parking sign?
Give me one sec. I didn't include that on my, because it wasn't a bus stop, so I didn't, again, apologize if I needed to include that. Let me just look at my measurements from September. I don't have a measurement, unfortunately, that I took from the parking side on the north side of the parklet. What is my required distance from there?
I think it's 50 feet.
I think that you can have the Roadway Cafe within 50 feet, but if it is, it just
Umbrellas.
can't be umbrellas.
Yeah.
And I did not measure either. It was an afterthought. But we can go back and measure, and if it turns out that the cafe is within 50 feet, right? It's 50, not 40, 50.
It's 50.
50, then that would mean you can't have umbrellas there.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to either send someone from my team to take that measurement this week, or if you want to verify it. Yeah, obviously we want to keep the footprint of the parklet that's already deployed. It does seem like we have a little wiggle room to move it to the south if we're encroaching within that 50 feet. So ideally we'd like to have the umbrellas, but of course willing to comply to move a little further south if we are within that 50-foot range.
Okay, so we'll send through a list of the, just like it's gonna look just like what the questionnaire looked like, but it's just gonna ask you to sign it just with those indications. And if you could update the site plan as part of that modification agreement to just show where it actually is going to be. That way we have the correct plan as the plan of record for this, since it is a 4-year license. We want it to be accurate, so we just ask for it, because it sounds like what you have out there is kind of 2.0, like ready to go, like this is it. Obviously it's going to come down at the end of the month, but you've put it in place with enough time to have it work and you come into compliance very early into the program, as much as you could, as these interpretation of these rules has continued to evolve. So we would just ask you, either we'll go do the measurement of the parking sign and include it in the modifications as something you agree to, and that you would agree to update the site plan within a certain time period. Is there anything else?
Flooring, is the flooring
Oh.
flush with the?
Oh, can we talk about the flooring? That was one thing that came up.
This is the.
There's currently flooring in there, but your site plan says that there is not going to be flooring. Did I get that right?
I believe that when I submitted that first site plan, I don't even think I included the second page with the distances. I got a deficiency notice for one of my applications from that. So on the site plan that's uploaded in the site workbook that's uploaded in the DOT portal as of today, because I did go ahead and update all the documents just to make sure that everything was in there. I did indicate there was we were pursuing or intending to have a floor.
So on your question, you say that the floor is flush with the curb, but currently is not. So what's the plan to get someone over that? How that floor is just raised a little? It's a very nice floor. But how are you getting someone in a wheelchair across that?
That's a great question, and I apologize that I was under the impression that it was more flush. I must be just confusing it with one of the other ones. Because we're above the curb, it seems like there is room. I'm not an ADA expert, so I don't want to say something that might not be ADA compliant, but it seems like there's room for a little bit of a ramp. I don't know if a 3-foot ramp would be required for that much of a gradient increase, but I'd be happy to work with my team that's more familiar with ADA requirements to make sure that we can have something to make that more ADA, not more ADA compliant. It's an easier transition for someone that might be mobily sort of challenged. So I'm imagining that we would do some sort of ramp, but again, I don't want to commit to that because I just don't know what the requirements of that are. I'd really have to look into it just a little bit more, but we do of course want to do something to make sure that that is more of a flush sort of transition, and perhaps that means shifting it a little bit so that maybe the curb is not fully sort of even with its height. I don't fully know, but we definitely would need to do something. I apologize, I can't give you like a solid answer now without discussing with my team.
So we would just ask in the modifications that you agree to either have some sort of temporary ramp or something that's addressed where your staff knows to bring that out, and whether you make that decision later on to make the flooring at level with the sidewalk when you rebuild it for the spring. I don't know if this is something you take down modularly or how, if you're storing it or whatnot, but that's up to you. But we would have as one of the modifications that you agree to have some sort of temporary and some sort of that your staff knows to bring out the temporary ramp, et cetera. So
absolutely. Yeah. For the purposes of this meeting, if, approval from the board is conditional on, us agreeing to there being some sort of ramp there, I'm 100% willing to agree to that condition. I just don't know what that would look like after, before discussing with my team.
Sure. Okay.
Yes. I'm just curious, why isn't the flooring flush with its curb now? What was the intention there?
Probably the road curves up.
There's a piece of that, and truthfully, just behind the scenes a little bit, we're trying to reuse the same design in multiple places, not just in New York, Old Town, Virginia, a number of other, Ann Arbor, Michigan. So, not every sidewalk is the same. So that's just how it ended up shaking out.
Great. Okay. Are there any other questions for Patrick? Great. Patrick will be in touch with the modifications form. Are there any questions from the public or testimony from the public on this application at University Place for Sweetgreen? Not seeing any hands raised, so we're going to move to our next application. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thanks. Next, we have Talea Beer.
Hey, Valerie.
Yes.
Just one more thing on Sweetgreen. The street is confusing because it transitions from the block before, transitions from 2 lanes to 1 lane. So there's the travel lane, and then there's a buffer lane. How should we be considering the travel lane? If in case of an emergency, should we assume that the buffer lane would be used? The buffer lane is just as wide as the travel lane, pretty much. I'll show my screen
Well,
again.
That buffer lane does not have any obstructions to prevent the emergency vehicles from using it as part of the width. So
Right.
it would seem to me that that would be included in the emergency egress width.
Okay, so then we don't need to worry about it.
Right, I see what you mean there. It's from that existing cafe out to the travel lane is another lane. It's almost as wide. So, but it's unobstructed the entire length. So that's certainly emergency egress or emergency access.
Sounds good. Just wanted to check.
Yeah.
This buffer lane, right?
That's my opinion.
Right, this?
Or interpretation.
Okay. Thank you, Stella. Thank you for your photos. I shouldn't stop the share. All right, last application we have is Talea Beer, 102 Christopher Street. Sorry. Let me share my screen. All right, so let's just go to the site plan. We have a Roadway Cafe. This is on Christopher Street. This is between Bleecker and Bedford. And we've got, looks like the barriers are included in this measurement, so we appreciate that, 29 feet. Was there a question on the frontage length on this one?
I did measure a different length.
Mm-hmm.
I measured 29 feet 3 inches.
Mm-hmm.
And that only really comes into play because they right now are saying that the Roadway Cafe length is going to be 29 feet. There's also what looks like a newly added ventilation grate. Do you want to go to the photos?
Sorry, let me go to the photos. So. Here we go. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, it looks like this was just added. I was looking at Google Maps from September and this was not there. So
yeah, no, I've seen it.
Probably when this application was submitted, it wasn't there, and that's why it's not on the site plan. But it does affect how long the cafe can be.
Okay, so we would need the cafe to go into what, 22 feet 9 inches to be compliant with that?
That was how I measured it. So I measured the ventilation grate extends into their storefront frontage by 3 feet 6 inches, and then it requires another 18 inches of clearance. And then in their site plan, they said that on the other side, they would come in 18 inches. Right. If they are still to do that, then I subtracted that from the overall length, and that's how I got the, what was it, the 22 feet and 9 inches in length.
Why do you think the 18 inches on each side? Because of the property line or the?
I mean, I don't know that that's required.
Oh, there is something about like if there's another,
There's
another cafe, yeah. Hi Tara, we see you. We'll call on you in just a second. Okay, so
So question for you, Stella, does that work look complete? I mean, there's still. I mean, I'm sure the applicant will be able to answer, because
Yeah.
it looks like that work is for their.
So we'll need to add the ventilation grate to the site plan. We'll need to ask for the length to be reduced to meet the clearances. So from 29 feet in length to 22 feet 9 inches, which also includes the 18-inch barriers within there. Which just might put those tables closer together, maybe. Any other comments before we hear from the applicant? The 15, what about the traveling?
So you have 11 feet left?
It's 25 feet wide.
Yeah, but I mean, once you take away the 14, then you've got 11 feet left.
No, but it's 8 feet. 14 is the length.
Oh, okay, sorry, wait a minute now. The width of the roadway is 25. And then, the width of the cafe. Stella, you measured that the travel lane would be 11 feet.
Right.
With the bike.
The bike lane, because it's not, does not have stanchions or something else over it, my understanding is that that's not separate.
Oh.
Because you can easily go through it for an emergency vehicle.
Oh, this manhole's across the street. I was like getting confused. Okay, like that wasn't, but this is it. This is the.
But that's assuming that they don't have bollards, because that is something that they do add on occasion.
Take over some.
But because the bus goes through here.
Because of what?
The bus, I don't think they would ever put the bollards in, because it already takes an extremely narrow street. It makes it virtually impossible for the bus to go down. Anything that's happening. Right. As I've mentioned to you at your meetings, the bus on the roadways was stopped and can't go through because of all kinds of nonsense.
So, right, there's double parking, et cetera. So we don't have any note on this application from FDNY about any sort of statement of no objection on the travel lane, correct?
Yeah, do you want to, I have no objection if you want to raise that, but I don't see it as an issue here.
All I can say is if it's in feet, 11
we just mark it.
Then
Okay.
it does give,
It gives
enough
you
room.
they have enough room, right? It's 15 feet, they have enough.
Okay. All right, let me.
I just have a question. It's probably just me not doing the math, but where are we getting the 22 and a half instead of 24 from, Stella?
Should I go to your photos?
Yeah, go back to the allowable roadway cafe length.
There we go.
Yeah. The top box, the last line is how I calculated it. So I measured the storefront is 29 feet 3 inches. Then subtract this 5 feet, which is the 3.5 plus 18 in clearance. And then subtract another 18 inches from the other side of the roadway cafe, because that's what they indicated that they would do in the site plan. So if you subtract all of that, that leaves you with 22 feet 9 inches.
Okay, so what I'm just gonna say is when I look at their diagram,
There's a new grade.
no, I got the new grade. I don't get their diagram is 19 feet and 29 feet, and that 29 feet seems to account for 18 inches on each side. And so then you have to deduct the 5 feet for the grade and the clearance, so that would put it at 24. You understand what I'm saying? This is 29.
Yeah, but so
18.
she's just saying you need to go 5 feet.
Right, so that makes it 24. That's all I'm saying, is it's 24, not 22 and a half.
When I measured the storefront, I did not get the 32 feet that they have on the site plan.
Okay, that explains it then. That explains it. So you're saying that what they have on the diagram as 29 feet is not correct if you have the 18 inches on each
Well,
side.
that's what she meant.
I have different measurements.
Right, got it. Okay, that explains it.
Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, I did 29.3.
29.
22 feet, 3.
There's
I
29.
get 22 feet, 3
It's
inches.
29 feet, 3 inches.
Yeah, but it's not just a straight subtraction of 5 feet, because if you look, the grade extends into there, right? So it's the 3 feet, 6 inches, and then you have the 18 inches.
That's,
But the 18 inches here, it's not, that'd be taken
oh,
out.
I see what you're
of-
saying.
of
Her
the
3.5 feet doesn't count the 18 inches, so you've got to add the 18 inches on. I got it, Stella. That's it. Because
Okay.
their diagram does, but your 3.5 feet needs to be pushed over another 18 inches.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
got it. Thank you. Okay, thanks. That makes sense.
Okay. Tara, I've promoted you to a panelist.
Hi, everyone. Sorry. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I am Tara Hinkinson. I'm the co-CEO, co-owner of Talea, the brewery. Just to address the questions that came up so far, I made this diagram. Obviously, I'm not a professional architect by any means, and would be happy to verify distances. I submitted this back in mid-May, so the grate was definitely not there. Christopher Street, you all know better than I do, probably. It's a very dynamic street with a lot of things going on in terms of the street construction. We had Con Ed there last week that just digging up the sidewalk. So in any case, definitely happy to accommodate that. Great. And also when I did this application, I was not sure if either of our neighbors would be applying for, especially the industry next door. I understand they're not currently applying, but wanted to give way between two different roadway structures. So happy to answer any questions. We've been open at this location for a little over a year. So we didn't have roadway seating before, but as I clarified earlier via email, we're not pursuing sidewalk seating because when we looked into it, the measurements just don't work, and the sidewalk in that area is busy. So this is our sole application for outdoor dining.
I will say, with the sidewalk that you have had out there, the perimeter demarcation that you did have was much appreciated for the time you did have the sidewalk seating out there during the temporary program. So just thought I would mention that. So what we would ask Tara is for the site plan to be updated to include the ventilation grate on it, and then to reduce the length of the Sidewalk Cafe from 29 feet to 22 feet 9 inches to be in compliance with, so that it's not, as you can see from the photo, it goes into your frontage, unfortunately. It also requires an 18-inch clearance. So if you would be willing to agree to those two things, is there anything else we needed to add to those modifications besides that? That's it. Then we, okay, you have another question. Those are the two things you would ask. I would just send you a one pager that looks just like the questionnaire that just lists those two items that you agree to make those changes on the site plan. Also submit the updated site plan both to CB2 by a certain date and time with this signed and notarized modifications form, and then to also update it to the DOT portal. So.
My question is, with the measurements, what would happen if I found a different measurement than our original site plan and than Stella found in the field? Or do you have a recommended like third party who can verify the?
So we can't recommend any sort of like service for you to use or to pay money to. It's not really our what we do. I also think it's like an ethic issue. So I don't have a third-party verification. What we do is we're going to submit this documentation to DOT with our feedback. And so we're just looking for a way to find agreement. So that way,
So just, I mean,
Yeah.
if you or Stella or somebody went there at the same time, somebody
Oh,
yeah, we could also just,
and just measure it together.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's trying to.
yeah. I mean, I live on Christopher, so I'm just down the street.
What is the
So,
measurement?
yeah.
I mean, our initial measurement is basically the same as hers for the roadway.
Yeah, we don't see.
I mean, it's 29.
Yeah.
Well, no, but they have 18 inches in.
Right,
And,
right,
And
that's the
not what
difference.
Stella had measured. So-
right. They have their storefront as, I think, 32 feet or 31 feet from
Oh,
that.
I got you.
Well, I think that the point that Tara is making is she'd like it to be accurate, so they
Yeah,
have as most
sure.
space that they can. So I think that that's.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to go out there with the tape measure with you if you'd like. I live just down the street, so I'm happy to come to meet you and we can look at it together, or staff or anything. Yeah.
Okay, that would be great.
So as far as, and I can reach out to you offline about that, as far as timing, our feedback, we do have a deadline for DOT. So let me just look at what that is for this application, because if you can't believe it, I don't have them all memorized, but I put them on the folder so that we all know. I can't tell you how many 30 days and plus 40 days I've done. Yeah, so I think this one's due at the beginning of December, but with the holidays and everything, if we could get that done this week, that would be helpful. We try to get these in back to DOT as soon as possible. After we're done with them, because this one will go to our full board for a vote though, because we are within that cycle of our monthly cycle of meetings. So, but with the holiday, we want to send it off as soon as we get that full board vote. So if we can clear that up this week, I can reach out over email and we can work something out.
Then Tara, are you still are you pursuing the liquor license?
We are pursuing a tavern beer and wine license.
Okay.
So that is, from what I understand, is on the permanent one is on hold until we resolve this application. This is from what I understand. Since that was one of the original, commentary from your board, whether against recommending or not recommending. But yes, and we've been operating with the same temporary license. Iterations of a temporary tavern beer and wine since opening.
So we saw something that was interesting, and this really applies just to you, and I don't know whomever is handling your licensing, but because you are a brewery, I think that you can have this as a tasting room.
This is technically a branch office, which
That's- You're allowed to.
Right, which I don't know if you need, the tavern wine would allow you to serve non-New York State products.
That's correct. And New York and beers that are not made in New York State or not made with New York State ingredients. So
Right. So that's what you're pursuing. Okay. Just so we're just wondering, because that would save you obviously from,
right.
I think, whatever the filing fees are, but that's obviously you wanted to serve other things, so that's fine. We had just been discussing it between us that, the necessity of pursuing that.
Right.
So just for context, and we started this business 5 years ago, but I'm still learning new things about the SLA every quarter. But essentially, for example, we would be required to have that license if we are selling our own beers that don't have at least 60% New York State ingredients.
Got it.
It's not really, we do sell some non-New York State wines, although the majority are New York State. It's more because when we use, for example, grain from Pilsner malt from Germany, It's not
Understood.
it's not meeting that minimum 60% ingredients by weight.
Got it.
Okay. So that answers.
Great, thank you, Tara. We might have some comment from the public. Is there anyone here from the public who wishes to speak on this application? Tara, you're not required to respond, but you're welcome to make a statement afterwards if you like.
Sure.
Is there anyone here to speak on Talea Beer, the Roadway Cafe application? I'm not seeing any hands, so I'm going to close the public hearing.
And
Yeah.
Tara, just before you leave,
Yeah.
Donna may reach out to you because, not this month, but after the full board votes on this, with this resolution, to maybe look at your application again, because this has been resolved. And
this was the issue with it.
And this was the
First place.
issue, so that it may move that along.
Okay, that would be great.
Okay, great.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tara. Oh, do we have one hand?
Stella.
Oh, yeah.
I know,
Stella?
go to it's an attendee.
Oh,
Bill Ball.
oh, okay. Oh, sorry. It's Bill?
Yeah.
Okay. Bill? Let's use my timer again. Also, I have to charge my laptop. Bill, are you on?
Hey, did you?
Stella, did you have something you wanted to say while we kind of wait for Bill to?
I can't do anything.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So what I noticed, that particular location on Christopher Street, the street, for traffic is very narrow, very, very narrow. And whenever there's any delivery whatsoever to any of the shops, that cuts down to like one narrow pathway for a car to get through. And when a bus tries to get through there, buses have to wait for a double parked car to get through. So adding a outdoor cafe in the roadway is only going to exacerbate a really bad problem as it is. And on Saturdays and weekdays, we have only 3 buses running the 8th Street line from the west side to the east side and vice versa. And the weekends are only 2 buses. So the buses run every half hour. So if one bus gets stuck because of blocking of the roadway, that can throw the entire schedule. And seniors who have to rely on buses to get around rather than being able to take subways are sometimes waiting an hour and a half for that bus, even though it's supposed to run every 30 minutes. And anything we do to clog up the roadways with roadbed restaurants is only going to exacerbate that problem.
Thank you, Bill. Are there any questions for Bill? Still like 20 seconds.
I'm just gonna say, Bill, they meet the requirement for the outdoor dining and have a 15-foot wide lane, and that's the requirement from the city.
We do agree, though, that we see the double parking and the clogging and the congestion all the time. It's a real problem.
Someone was asleep during this meeting. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Sorry, I have to charge laptop. All right. Stella, you had your hand raised?
Never mind.
Okay, great. I had one more question before we go to business session. Tara, thank you so much. Appreciate it. I have one more question for Daniel on the perimeter. I know. I caught you. The perimeter demarcation, you didn't have what you were going to use. Did you tell us what you were using for the perimeter demarcation for the sidewalk? Yeah.
We don't know at the moment.
Okay.
In my head, and I would have to discuss this, I was assuming it would be like one of those metal
like something
frames
thin?
with the
Okay.
fabric.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's
what I personally had in mind.
Okay.
But yeah.
We're just trying to gauge like what's what's realistic there and just having an idea of that and knowing.
Yeah, we used to have a metal barrier. I think it was a 2-inch piece of metal with wood slats.
Okay.
Which was kind of nice, but it was a little heavy. So I think a little thinner metal.
Right.
Make
So,
more sense.
so that it fits within the space. And the same offer to you, if you would like, Stella and myself can go meet you and we can go look at the measurements.
I'm gonna remeasure it tomorrow. Maybe I'm
Okay.
wrong. Maybe I'm right. If I'm right, I can either send you a video or I can invite you to come. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Okay. And you've got an email with our office chain going, so you know who they can forward it to us and we can figure all that out. Okay, great. Thanks for being here. Thank you. All right, great. All right, so we're gonna move, thank you, Tara. So we're gonna move to our business session and then we'll have our new business. So we had 5 applications today. 2 are Sidewalk, 3 are Roadway, 2 are the same applicant, but we still have different feedback we can give on each of them. So for Leitao, are we going to do a conditional deny? What are people feeling?
We can factor in all the input from the neighbors, right?
I find space to put it on the application. I don't take up a lot of room on it. If there's any sort of exhibit,
Does it
like.
have any effect?
If there's any sort of exhibit, like an oath, I think, what is it, ECB, is that the correct? I've included the ticket on there. So we did that on one from last month. So it's included.
So just.
There's so much that seems so egregious from what people are reporting.
I mean, it's awful.
Yeah, so.
I mean, it's
even
just awful, but
We can include that agreement in there, as an example.
I think though that right now, one of the things is that if in fact, these measurements are what's there, it really mitigates the sidewalk issues significantly. And that's been the request. The issue is the roadway, obviously, because that's going to be a little bit bigger and that's also coming. But the requirement is.
Maybe that's where we save that documentation.
I mean, if this is something that the city council member wants to take up for the sidewalk cafe, that's something, that can be pursued, but there's not really a way to measure that egregious.
With the actual measurement.
Well, that's if they follow the rules, because they. Well, no. What I was saying is if they follow the rules, it mitigates all the issues.
Yeah.
If they follow the rules, it mitigates the clearance requirements.
They haven't followed.
It has I understand. I'm not disagreeing at all. But I'm just saying that the compliance with the rules actually mitigates.
Quality of life issue.
Well, on the sidewalk.
Yeah, on the sidewalk.
And particularly, it's really resolved if, with the 5-foot building entrance.
But
they had a sidewalk cafe.
They comply. I mean, how do?
Well, no, I think that's a good point. But if they had a sidewalk cafe prior to COVID, and I don't recall there being egregious issues.
Oh, no, they were reported. Egregious issues seem to be reported.
No, not before COVID.
Before COVID.
2019, wasn't that before COVID?
Oh, okay. There may have been some, but I mean, it was not with.
Not as bad as.
The roadway outside. I mean, but I don't disagree. I mean, I think that we should include that they were. I think that we should be including that they were renting the space next door. All those issues.
Which is illegal.
Well, we can include it on there. We can definitely include it again in the Roadway Cafe.
I think that we just do it as an attachment.
Yeah,
as an exhibit.
Yeah.
But I think that it's very important to get the measurements down.
Yeah.
And but like I said, a lot of this is, they've been trying to work through it. I mean, to the point that it's so bad that they're meeting with the precinct. I mean, that's unheard of.
In the community.
To have that being resolved in that manner.
I mean, I just don't understand how an application like this could get through with those tables on the left side when there's
Right.
clearly a primary building entrance. That's just not been, and it's on the plan. It still was able to get through with what, six seats and 3 tables?
But I think that what's important is to, over there, is to say that it looks as if the 5-foot building entrance removes those, but we should still be clear on what the measurements are.
Right.
That's important, because if for whatever reason that's not determined
So he
by the
read-
city,
okay.
that's, you need to have accurate measurements. And this comes up on so much stuff that we don't know.
Yeah, so suppose he goes back and he measures and he says, oh, I came up with the same thing again. Where does that leave
Well,
us?
then, Stella or Valerie.
Yeah, we'll come out and meet. Yeah.
Meet and measure. I mean.
Yeah, I mean,
It's-
it's coming up again. It's come up and it's come up in an application that's going before DOT for a public hearing of they said versus we said on it. And it's like, how do you find the true measurements? Like, well, we go out and measure it. Like we're going to go out and take another photo of this one that's coming up for a public hearing. I'm not going to discuss it here, but it's one we've already reviewed. And it's, again, like having the photographs and having the measurement on there. Yeah, it's pretty clear when it's marked on there. It's hard to do with a measuring tape. I mean, the measuring tape is more to be in agreement in person. But having it where it's digitally on the photo and making sure like we pulled the phone in the right way, like it's the clearest example of either it is or it isn't.
I also think that this example, just as much as Steve Wilgota raised and I'll just bring up what Shirley, I mean, the pedestrian mobility plan is precisely in our community with the congestion that we have is a great way, we should be fully supporting it because it anticipates how the sidewalks in our community are used and that they're shared spaces. And I think that that's universally been the issue in different community boards in different ways, but we've all been consistently saying that.
And the rules took what was in.
But this is an example of where you have a higher amount of movement where the public space should be planned a little bit differently than what was previously allowed. And as a result, that's what we're encouraging across the board. And so, this is what we've been asking for, if you had the requirements on, for example, on Broadway, that's one of the busiest thoroughfares under the old rules that was excluded from being able to have sidewalk cafes. But if you took the old.
Hi, Bill, we're no longer taking public testimony. You can submit it online.
It wouldn't take into account what Broadway is. And that's, I think this is a huge step forward and also, anticipates the residential streets or the residential areas with really wide sidewalks where maybe it would be okay. It's just that there was a system that worked and the city said we need a new system that applies citywide, and that's what they did. And then
Yes.
It's hard.
All right, so on Leitao, are we voting to conditionally deny? The same we did before?
Well,
We do have.
I just wonder what, if we deny it fully, and then if we get the correct measurements, but
Okay.
does this, we've been presented, and I think most of us here have witnessed, the activities here and the just complete disregard for law, rules, and regulations. Is this rise, to the fact, does the applicant have the character and fitness to operate this according to the rules?
There's a broken bottle on the roadway today next to the wine bottle.
No, well, but I'm just saying, that's a question for everybody here.
That's right. And that's what I have weighed since I was reading those complaints. I don't see any material change in their operation that would make them now comply with the regulations, even if stipulated and even if verified the dimensions.
Right, because they've had all.
that, you know, the example of the hostess stand, if you will, or
Right.
what they call it, the tablet
I mean, it's
pedestal.
usually out in the middle of the sidewalk, as he showed in his.
No, it's true. I walk from doing my laundry. I walk from doing my laundry and I usually have really big bags. I'm like, I'm throwing elbows, like,
To me,
this is like at least 8 feet, right?
And by the way, like you say, the precinct meeting or whatever that agreement that was arrived at after the precinct meeting, they didn't comply with that either.
No, they didn't.
So what makes you think that they're going to do
Nothing.
They made a
there's
couple of
nothing here.
motions, but then they completely.
That's right. There's nothing here that makes me think that they will abide by whatever we lay down or agree to. So.
Right, because they could have just agreed here to all of it and.
And, you know, with that said, I do think it's important to get the accurate measurements.
Yeah.
So that whatever they do take into account. But
Here's October 26, 2024 here.
That's after the cops came in to.
So this was just a few weeks ago. And that's back in April. See, that's usually what I'm walking through with my laundry. So if you can imagine like 2 big IKEA bags.
So with that said, and I mean, I can't imagine that if this returns to review, you know, the application of the liquor authority that.
For September.
I mean, that would be the consistent.
I see the skinny house.
Results, you know, is not being okay with this. So I mean, it's an unusual situation. There are not many, you know, as I had said, you know, I recall during COVID,
that were as egregious as this one.
Main emergencies, that this was one of the primary offenders and they were not able to follow the rules. And we had another liquor license operator the same way, could not follow the rules. And they were denied a liquor license on a new location on character and fitness for consistently breaking the rules.
Okay, so it sounds like we're reaching consensus to do a denial on this one.
Yes.
I would lean in that direction,
Okay.
that's for sure.
Stella?
Yeah, and I would also say I think it should be remeasured, the 14 versus 14 and a half. I don't think that 6 inches is going to, assuming that they follow the rules, I don't think that 6 inches is going to make them a worse or better operator. The 5 feet from the residential entrance, I
It's a
mean,
non-starter. It's a non-starter. I mean, it
yeah,
is.
and I don't see any way that you could measure that and have a different result.
But we should have the measurement of what's left.
That's right.
Yeah, we should have the measurement of what's left. Okay,
Just to make that very.
okay. So we can include that in the comments.
And I would ask that in our response that we include the updated photographs with those as exhibits so that we can use our response to DOT to further submit to other agencies as needed. So that.
Oh, what, the landmarks violations?
No, just so everything's documented.
Okay.
And it within that, so that it can be, you know, comprehensive.
Okay.
It's proven to be helpful,
Mhm.
you know, down the road if the problems persist.
Okay. All right, so next one is Sanmiwago Sidewalk. This is another one where we need to approve with modifications or deny.
I think that box is so small that if the measurements are in fact accurate, that it's not realistic with, the key part here is it's not realistic with the sidewalk barriers.
Right.
Right.
Because somebody
Yeah.
cannot walk in the
It's kind of
car seat
obvious.
on either of
So-
them.
So that's a denial.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just.
Yes, Brian.
Well, what I heard Carter saying is that it's, we're saying that the measurement for the box for the sidewalk cafe has to be modified from the application. That has, because again, correcting
Right, that's step
erroneous
one.
measurements. What's left over, in our opinion, is not sufficient for seating,
Right.
but is that let's see, what's the choice?
You put a,
Denial, approval, or approval with modifications? So
I mean,
of those three.
if you had a 6-inch table, which, I mentioned to you guys before, there are 2 businesses that actually hung the tables on the wall of the business in order to have small tables under the previous program. It has happened, but with the barriers, in that case, it included a 3-foot service aisle.
Oh.
In this case, there is no service aisle.
Right.
And also, I think that the other issue is that because of that being unrealistic, this is a highly trafficked area within Chinatown that has significant foot traffic and also is utilized by so many food vendors, on the sidewalks and fruit vendors, et cetera, that I think that again, the reality exacerbates issues there. But I think the Roadway Cafe, though, is where the seating becomes more practical.
Right.
So that was the one with accessibility, right? The roadway.
Well, yeah, that's our next one to go to. So are we denying the sidewalk? It
Yeah,
seems
but
like-
I think, though, that it's important to do it in the manner in which Brian
Yes,
had said.
here's how this logically laid out.
Right.
We were presented with incorrect measurements. Once we corrected them, please see these exhibits. We now see that the actual footprint is this, and it does not seem logical that a cafe can fit in 16 inches
With the barriers.
with the barriers.
With people being able to access. the
Okay,
seat.
great. So it's a denial.
Okay.
Okay, so next we have their Roadway Cafe. Again, we seem to have hit a block of understanding the ADA compliance with the flooring. They didn't check off flooring, so they've indicated that they're going to be on the, and it did not seem, it seemed as though,
That's the flooring. Let's just put that aside
What?
for the moment.
okay, the link.
Are there any other issues? And I just think the one is, can they cross another business?
Oh, yeah.
And I had mentioned this separately to Stella, to Valerie, and to Donna. We will see this coming up in other applications in the West Village and in South Village, other areas where 2 storefronts with a residential entryway in the middle, where the 2 storefronts have combined in the back. So you have a U-shaped business around the residential entrance. That could also be the case if you have a business entrance to upper floors like here. So it's just unclear what the rules are on that, if you can only be in front of your
So where-
business frontage.
Where can we get clarity?
Well, from DOT.
Yeah.
But it's important because it's gonna come up
Yeah.
again.
Okay, so do we make a decision now or do we wait for?
Well, I think I'm comfortable that our recommendation is contingent on whichever way that response goes or whatever's permitted. But
If it is permitted, then we would approve, we would submit comments in favor of it, and if
right, if
it's
it's,
not,
no, but then also,
It's not, you might be
I
able to
think
do it.
that we might get some assistance in perhaps communicating the flooring issue. Perhaps you can look at the translation. The DOT website's translated to different languages to point out the section and send it to them so that they can properly review it in the specific section so that they understand. Because I
think they just don't understand.
Yeah, that there seemed to be a barrier on that, and so
Yeah.
it's just
sure,
I'd rather, but
over communicate it.
because I don't know how, because it's a drop, it's not a rise. The other
when we get to the one in University Place, that's a rise, so that a ramp could be placed on the sidewalk to temporarily access anything. But the drop, you just can't, because of the turning radius
Right, that's the problem, is the turning
Or-
radius, it's not the.
for a wheelchair at the bottom.
Right.
Yeah, that happened in Hudson in front of, next to the Clam, and what was that restaurant?
Oh, right,
It was
right.
a similar
It's
situation.
not, but it could be my cord. It's okay.
So, I mean, isn't it a matter of just that it's a simple, that's kind of like a simple.
Right, well, they just have to figure it
To
out.
understand, there's a rule, you gotta comply with it.
No, I understand, but it's also a design element, whatever, I think that to follow it's not as straight.
Okay, so we're done with Sanmiwago, so we're on Sweetgreen?
Yep, we're on
Yeah.
Sweetgreen.
So Sweetgreen, I mean, that sounded pretty clear cut.
You're in agreement with that on? Yep, all right.
Okay.
Okay, so just the parking sign measurement, update the site plan.
And figure out the access. Mhm.
Yeah, and then say that it'll agree to have a temporary ramp and staff trained, et cetera. Okay, Talea.
Yeah, I hope that they can have the room to have umbrellas. Umbrellas are kind of important.
Not if they block the
To
stop.
protect you from sun, rain.
Okay, so Talea.
So is that it?
No, it's
Talea,
Talea.
It seems
Oh,
like the
that's right.
same as the others.
So I-
Verify the
that's
measurements.
okay, as long as she complies, right?
Yes.
And she seems to be willing to, and you're willing to go measure with her, and
Yeah, so Stella, do you have any comments on Talea? So, I mean, we had just asked, update the site plan with the ventilation grid. Sounds like she was open to that, and then
agreeable.
And then it just sounds like if we can just get to an agreement on what the length is, so maybe you or I or both of us, I can definitely go out there and measure, and we'll just come to an agreement in person, and then we'll send over the stipulation or the modifications, just confirming either way on that. So again, it's a roadway, so it's just support with comments, or there really is no approval on these. Okay, new business. We received 3 applications today. They're in the drive. I forwarded them. I, of course, don't expect anyone to have looked at them because we had so many to look at for tonight.
Oh, I didn't see.
So there were 3. I forwarded them via email, so they're in your email. So there are 3. One of them there's 2 on Thompson Street. One is Pop-Up Bagels. I can just quickly look at those. But the key thing about these is that they are all roadway, so they're all due on Thursday, December 12th, which is 2 days after our meeting. So these are ones that either we can start working on them now and start getting things to the applicant, and then just have the 10th be a sign off and everything ready to go. Or we can try to have a meeting before then, which probably is the better thing to do than to have 2 days. Because if we need any sort of changes, even when we have back-ended it like that, it gets really tight. So again, a pop-up bagel, obviously there's a lot, we see this, there's a tree bed in there. This is for roadway. They have something existing, I believe.
The most important new thing.
What?
That these all include an FDNY waiver that's completed.
Right.
And it's based on a memo we don't even know exists.
Yeah, so this is in here, yeah, so it is to the, to DOT, regarding that. So on this one, it says the FDNY does not encourage implementation of such variants.
They say that.
Of such variances, roadway cafes that propose reducing the emergency travel lane width to less than 15 feet. FDNY city planning comments, the proposed roadway cafe will reduce the emergency travel lane to 12 feet. The proposed presents an obstruction having potential to negatively impact fire operations. However, the FDNY Bureau of Operations has determined potential impact as minimal and therefore coordination with local units has no objection to implementation. So it seems a lot of here is saying something.
Mark, are you familiar with this memo?
I read it this afternoon as you guys did, that's all.
No, but with the memo.
The memo, the FDMY New
So
York
it's
City
from the
planning
summer,
issue.
from July.
This.
Oh,
Can we
no.
get a copy of this memo? NYC DOT's Dining Out NYC program dated 7/30.
It's not even clear who it's from because FDNY city planning, I mean, what is that?
What is FDNY city
Oh,
planning?
yeah, right. But that's not me.
That seems to be the people leading the comments, because it says FDNY city planning comments.
But this would help us streamline.
Yeah, I'll ask for it for sure.
Okay.
Maybe I'll ask both DCP and FDNY. No,
DOT, I mean, they should have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's a good point.
That's,
Fair point. I'll ask all three.
Okay. That would be good. So we can also ask questions here. The applicant is required to contact Battalion 6, Engine 33, Ladder 9, very specific. 3 email addresses here prior to the occupancy of the Roadway Cafe to provide familiarization. Consideration offered by the administrative company shall be applied to approved Roadway Cafe as deemed necessary. So there could be potentially some modifications there. So that's interesting. So there's that one on Thompson Street, and then we have another one on Thompson Street. Ooh, it's a tight one, huh? Same thing.
Oh.
Another memo here.
All three of them have it.
All three of them, right. So the roadway is approximately 26 feet, curb to curb, existing parking lane 8 feet wide, 6.5 foot wide structure. Implemented, the travel lane would be 11.5. Thompson Street is a narrow street. The FDNY does not incur, again, the criteria from the memo.
Exact same wording.
Yeah, it is.
Except for the width of the street and then the
No
battalion,
objection.
Maybe the
Right.
battalion, I'm not sure.
Okay, so this is all new, and then I won't read it all.
How wide is a fire engine usually? I mean, standard.
I
Alright.
looked it up- I
Oh,
looked it up and it's between 98 inches and 100 inches. So it's between 8.5 feet and 9 feet.
And then there's one on 27 Bedford. A roadway, which is kind of,
narrow.
lots of narrow sidewalk.
Sidewalk and narrow.
Yeah. And
It has parking.
same thing, the same memo here, just with the different, to Donna's point, different comments here. Since an obstruction, however, determine the potential impact is minimal, will coordinate with no objection to its implementation. So again, this is new. This is dated November 4th. That must be why these got referred to us this week. So we will try to get a copy of that memo and also post it online on the dining out and
Mark,
our dining out page.
is FDNY's Division 1 all of CB2? You know, where
I'm not sure.
the folks that, you only have one person who,
I thought it was O2 actually, but I might be.
oh, so, okay.
I thought it was O2, but.
So
Oh, so we might want to just call them and ask them about this and ask, just so we know whatever it is they look at when they do these site visits. So just so we have a better understanding.
they actually do a site visit, is that what it said?
Yeah, before operating to familiarize themselves with it.
Oh, the site visit after it's been approved, right?
Oh,
Okay.
Curious.
So knowing that, when would be a good time? I know we have the holiday at the last end of the month.
If, and this presupposes, not necessarily me, people have gathered all the information on the applications and raised the objections beforehand, the meeting could be an expedited meeting
On the 10th.
before, I think doing it too close to the deadline is not a good
I
idea.
don't think so either, yeah.
But, if we did it, prior to another meeting the week before,
The first week of December, maybe?
yeah.
Okay. I don't know what's,
I mean, if we did, I don't know if 5:30, is 5:30 too early? Stella, is 5:30 too early?
For which day are you thinking?
Sometime in the first week in December.
I'm just looking at the CB2 calendar.
yeah.
There's a traffic meeting on Wednesday, the 4th, and then there's SLA meeting on Thursday, the 5th.
Yeah,
Oh, there's also SLA Tuesday.
Then Parks and Waterfront.
You have a joint
CB2
meeting, right?
Meeting together on the first Wednesday, whatever that is, the 5th?
Fourth.
The 4th.
I look at December. I mean, the last week is Thanksgiving, so I don't think that's gonna work for
No,
most people. I can't pull up the calendar. Okay, so. Is it on the website?
When is the decision due? What
The
day?
12th, it's due
Oh, the 12th,
Thursday,
yeah, that's
December
right.
12th, yep.
What day did you say? Street activities, is that now?
Is it on the website, the calendar?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do that at 5:30.
Yeah, I mean, if we did it at 5:30 on Monday, I mean, before that, wrap it up. I mean, if it's up,
Yeah, it was
done all the
be
stuff.
wrapped
it's
up,
not-
yeah.
The thing is, you don't leave any time to do anything, correct anything.
know.
Measure anything. And that makes a big difference if it just gets all cleaned up.
Yeah, here's the December calendar.
I mean, the second gives us plenty of
How
time.
did you get, because you're on your laptop, that's.
No, this is a PC brain, not a Mac brain up here. My laptop is not connected.
So like if we did 5:30
on the 2nd?
and.
Well, because then
By
it's not
6:30?
too much of an inconvenience on the office because everything is here. Versus the other nights, the SLA meetings are not here in this room.
Right.
So to do it that way at 5:30,
Well, plus you three are on SLA, so if we were to, so we couldn't have it.
I mean, I bring enough equipment to the church that we could do a
There.
hybrid meeting there at 5:30 if you wanted to. I don't know that
seems too,
that's a long night for you.
yeah, that's a little
Yeah,
complicated.
well, it's a long night
Yeah.
already.
Well, you would already be here for street activities anyways, presumably, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
no, it's a good thing to consider.
Well, it's either I just think it's easier than,
Yeah, I agree.
it's-
The thing is, can we clear out, you think, by 6:30? Really?
I hope so.
I think
An extra
so.
Monday,
Also,
so we
find
can
another
expedite.
venue for you.
No,
Too much.
It couldn't be
no,
Monday because Brian would be at both meetings.
yeah.
No, but but that's what I'm
It's
saying,
too
to just do it here because everything's set up. It's not a.
Whatever you guys think,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a.
Appreciate it, Mark.
Yeah,
Okay, so, sorry, I went back to November.
but I mean,
There is one committee that's meeting at 2:00 in the afternoon, I think.
There it is. That's cannabis.
That's kind of wild.
That is a little unusual.
Okay, so we'll try for December 2nd. Does that work? Stella, does that work for you at 5:30 if that were to? Okay, that works. Shirley, Brian,
As far as I know.
on then Monday, the 2nd,
Okay.
for a brief,
well, the other thing also, oh, yeah, well, what about,
the 9th, we can't.
Shirley, are you still doing your meeting on the 26th?
Whatever the last Tuesday is.
Yeah, so you're doing the last Tuesday and
What is the last?
the
Tuesday?
4th, the
Because-
26th.
Is that the 26th? I don't.
Yeah, oh, okay.
November, yeah,
Thanksgiving?
yeah.
Thursday,
That's
the 28th.
Okay, so you're doing both, you have a meeting 2 weeks in a row.
Except, no, oh, right. But I have only one item on the agenda. It's not a very big thing.
The micro hubs.
Oh, but I don't know what Rich has. Oh, we're talking about another one.
That's the joint meeting, right? But on the 26th.
Yeah, we're doing one with Rich, but we have one item, but Rich may have several others. I don't know.
On the 4th.
On the 4th, no, yeah, so on the 26th here, so do you, I mean, would that be a problem if you started that meeting?
5:30?
Yeah, or, no, if you pushed it forward, 6:30 or 6:45 or.
But
I'm
it
just-
is at 6:30 though.
The reason I raise it is because we're going to be getting more applications.
Yeah, that's true.
So the sooner we do that meeting,
Yeah,
the better. If we're only gonna have the 3 items, we should do it early, not hold it because some other.
Remember what we have?
you have microbus, you have the microbus.
I actually could put that off. I mean, it's not like it has a deadline. I guess I could do that. It'd be nice
yeah, I
to
mean-
talk about it. But it was
Because-
just the presentation.
So we have one, so if we did, I'm not saying cancel your meeting, I'm just saying to move it forward.
For another-
We have 3 more and we have
Because
another
that's
weekend
in
between.
2 weeks, so we could do these 3.
You're saying like we could meet from 5:30 to 7:30 and their meeting's at 7:30 or?
Yeah,
I didn't-
I didn't to do 7:30.
Yeah.
No, I didn't say 7:30.
Okay, sorry.
What I'm saying is that we're also gonna get more referrals next week.
That's
most
right.
Likely, so it would be better to get them off of our plate. If we have, if we get 3 more, that's 6 applications, it's better to get that done. Because then we could potentially meet again. I mean, 1 week we could get 10.
Oh, that's true. I mean, yeah, I mean, the thing is so the 18th, we get applications next week. And then if we get something on the 25th, then we can have this preemptive talk about it on the 26th. It's too soon.
But if we just do 5:30 to 6:45, I mean, we can get through at least 3 of them.
Yeah.
That's what
Would you
I'm
mind
saying.
moving it to 6:45?
Yeah, I wouldn't
Okay.
mind, as a matter of fact.
You would mind?
Yeah,
Okay.
uh-huh.
Okay.
But I would not mind putting it ahead to January. I mean, it's not, it doesn't have a deadline. It's not an urgency. I would rather start at the regular 6:30 time.
Oh, got it.
In January. I don't care. It isn't that important. It's an educational thing. But people should be aware that there is this program.
Right,
So
yeah.
I would rather do that and start late and.
Okay. Or have a meeting beforehand.
And it's DOT too. They're
Oh, it's also the
happy to start
It's the week
late.
of Thanksgiving. I mean, it's the week of Thanksgiving. Okay. Then let's just try for the 2nd then, because then we'll have to,
Well,
is that what we're
Why
saying?
don't we just get rid of that?
yeah, I'm just gonna point out, if we get 3, 3, 3, by the 2nd, we'll have 9 applications already. We'll be able to meet the deadlines for the other ones, but they cumulatively add up each week. This is the problem with this committee, right? And we're just gonna keep getting more. So you just gotta get them off our plate. I thought tonight you guys did a great job in saying, here are the issues. If we can do that even faster, that's better without having to explain it, as much.
Okay, so then when should we meet? Does anybody else want to throw out an idea?
Why are we not?
I
You did offer yours.
I offered to give you the 26th off.
I think
Okay,
26.
okay. I mean, if you're willing to do that, Shirley, we'll take
Or we'll
it.
just do the meeting and
Sure.
just
So
meet
what,
for an
we
hour.
won't
But I
meet?
think either way.
Look, if it was something that was really urgent.
Thank you.
But it's not, it doesn't have a deadline. It's something though that I think that people should know about, that's all.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So I can have it in January.
Okay.
Nothing specifically that
Thank
I've
you.
been getting any
Okay,
requests
so the
on.
26th, Tuesday, the
Yeah.
26th works for everyone.
Okay.
Right, so we can change that around and I'll just.
And then we'll use the 10th
Everybody
as
will be
scheduled
thrilled
to catch
because-
the others.
Listen, the changing people will be
Oh,
thrilled.
it's
It's Thanksgiving week,
December.
it probably,
We're probably gonna,
and it isn't an urgency. But
So
frankly,
we
I'd
want-
rather do that than have to
they were
start
probably all
later.
zooming in
Sorry.
anyway.
And then 2 weeks, we'll have the one on the 10th. Which apparently is also the same time as cannabis. I don't know what's location to be determined. Okay. Okay, so The 26th, thank you, Shirley. Appreciate it. And then 2 weeks later, we'll have a meeting on the 10th.
Got it.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
To adjourn.
Adjourn.
Okay, so this is the 26th.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
6th
So-
of November.
Thank you, Stella.
And you'll,
Night, thank you.
anyhow,
I'm gonna stop.
Night, Stella, thank you.
I will tell the committee